Sombrero. Mic check. Microphone check. Hey, no sombrero, but it would have been great. The sombrero would have been the hat of choice today. I should have done. I wish I had one. I wish I had a sombrero, but I don't. Instead, I've got you, and that's a win. All of us here together. That's the most you could ask for. Let me adjust a couple things real quick. I keep forgetting about that TikTok chat, so I need a spot to put that. There we go. I think we're set to go. Happy Thursday, everybody. It's good to see you. It's good to be seen, as always. Hope you guys enjoyed it yesterday. I hope your day yesterday was better than Mr. Jones's. And after you have that taco today, make sure you have some water. Say something nice about yourself, and put those boots on the ground. It's very important to have boots on the ground. Someone said, do I have a P.O. box? I do, Beige Rage. I do have a P.O. box. It's in my link tree, which is a perfect segue to start seeing this, or to start. Jesus Christ, let's start over. Perfect segue to bring this up. I was reading and speaking at the same time. That's on me. I got a gift yesterday. Look at this tumbler that was sent to me yesterday. It's weird to drink something with my own face on it, but there we go. It's orange. It's delightful. It's got a nice straw attachment. It came with a note that said, Jay, a little something to keep your drinks cute and cool while you have a great summer. We appreciate everything you do. Keep it up, Double Daddy. We are here cheering you on. Love, Swish and Tanya, our friends from the broader perspective. So thank you guys for that gift. It was a lovely surprise that came in the mail yesterday. I appreciate it. The hat is white. The hat is white for those who are guessing on the hat. It's good. It's good to be here. Yeah, that was a rough day yesterday. We gonna do that interview? Oh, Dom. Yeah, we are gonna do that interview. I'm sorry, man. I meant to get back to you. I'll get back to you. I've been super busy, man. A bunch of shit came up, so I apologize. That's on me. I'll get back to you. Shoot me a DM, and I'll get back to you. Finally? What do you mean finally? I've had a P.O. box forever. What do you mean finally? I already had it. This is the hype train emoji I acquired the other day. What is that? What the hell is that hype train emoji? About the calendar. The calendar is going to be August to August. So I've got to put somebody in charge of the calendar. And then we will take submissions for ideas. I will shoot the calendar in July, and we'll have it out. I found like a service that can do it. So the calendar will go August to August. That'll be available sometime like first or second week in August, and we'll have that available. We'll either have a link or it'll be on our merch. But you guys can discuss that amongst yourselves in the Discord. Yeah, I figured it was going to be Bree, and I don't think I'm going to. But it does. I have a child. And she has friends, and so it does need to be tamer than I think some of you want it to be. Why not August to the next? Oh, sure, we can do August to the next December. Let's do that. We'll do August through the next December, because it took me so long. It's just been a crazy couple of months, and I apologize for that. We'll do August through December, so that's gonna be August, September, October, November, December. So that's gonna be, is that 17 months? Will that be a 17-month calendar? And then Bree can sell her own calendars on the side there. That's what we're doing. Bonus months. It's my bad. Look, y'all know me. I have ADHD, and Jen will tell you repeatedly that following through on tasks is not my strong point, and I'm working on it. I'm trying to be better for everybody, but could be worse. I could have held a 4-hour live yesterday where everybody yelled at me. And then ended it abruptly, only to have those same people go host more lives about me all day. I got to apologize in Jones's voice. Hey, you guys made to me. Hey, you guys made to me. Whisper. Do I look away? Yeah. I'm very sorry. It's my bad. My bad, guys. Yeah, the non-apology apology. Terrible apology. Why did he kick me? That's a good question. It's a fair question. I don't know the real answer to that. Only he knows the answer to that. I'll tell you this. He wasn't about to bring me up. I know that. The only reason he even brought me up at all is because No Rads told him to, and he seems to do whatever No Rads tells him to do currently. So that's the only reason I was brought up. I have this sneaking suspicion that the reason he doesn't want to talk to me or have my voice in front of his publicly is because he tried some dumb shit. When all this stuff broke, like I've known about some of this stuff for like a year. I was unaware of a lot of this stuff. In fact, I didn't even know who Mimi was, and I'm now like the world's biggest Mimi fan. I didn't know who that was, so I wasn't even really around for that shit. But so I knew some stories, and then when I made the initial video, a ton more people started messaging me. And then Jones was going around to people, and he was trying to get them to get messages to me. And then he would then he waited like a day and a half. He cultivated he called Crow. He called some other people that I'm not going to tell you who he called. People that he didn't think I knew. And frankly, people I didn't know. I've made a lot of new friends since all this stuff kicked off. And those people were more than willing to pretend to be Jones's friend while they ratted out all his secrets to me. And while he was trying to manipulate them and get them to stand with him, they were just sending me the screenshots and the recordings. And so I have this sneaking suspicion that Jones knows that. And the reason I have that suspicion is because I told him in a text message, hey, dude, you know all those friends you think you have? You don't have those friends. Every friend you have is snitching on you. And did I know it was all his friends? No. Is it all his friends? I don't know. But I said it. And so Jones knows the receipts, and Jones knows that like he can try and steamroll each one of those people individually, but he knows the receipts that I had, and I assume that's why he removed me. I also think it was good that he did remove me. To be clear, I didn't really want to go up there and talk about Jones like threatening to sue me because that was stupid and there would be no lawsuit. I only went up there to back up what Athena was saying because Athena and I have talked a bunch. We have the same receipts. I've talked to Liv. I've talked to Dontrell. I've talked to Crow. And so I was only there to back up her story. The only reason I brought up the lawsuit is because she teacupped and nobody was talking. So I was like, hey, why don't I take this opportunity to ask why you're suing me? And as soon as I started dropping those receipts, he 86'd me, which surprisingly left me alive. I know to the Republicans, that's probably shocking, but 86 did not mean death. I'll just tell you, I was texting him during the live, so that could have been it. When he went live, I said, "You're just gonna be a bitch like this? This isn't accountability." Then when he brought up legal reasons for not bringing me up, I texted him. I said, dude, you're just a bitch. You're afraid of me because I saw through you and I see through you. You know you can't manipulate me, and you know that you don't have any dirt to blackmail me. I was one of the one creators you were afraid to run scams with, so you ran your mouth behind my back while your victims came to me. Everybody's going to see these texts, and everyone is going to know you're a bitch. Peach ate your ass up, and I hope it's just the start. I hope you show up every day on TikTok and face the wrath of your consequences from your actions. And then I posted that in the Discord. And then I texted him about an hour later, and I just said, bitch ass. And and then I texted him a little later, and I said, I'm going to fuck up your whole shit. I'll spend all day hosting a live with every receipt. You're a bitch. So it was just a lot of me calling him a bitch, and I don't think he liked that. So there's the full context. Proud of everybody who went up there. I loved seeing him get yelled at. I loved when who was it? Was it Ty? It was like you don't have control over me anymore. You can't take my power away from me. I loved Athena saying like, don't you dare raise your fucking voice at me. Like the Athena quiet voice, the wheezing Athena was just like, nah. Like, we're not doing this. And I really enjoyed her yelling at Jones and saying, and just person after person telling him to shut the fuck up. I loved people calling out his white woman tears. It was honestly, like, the amount of shit I've heard about him. I'm not that vindictive of a person. I'm pretty forgiving, but it was nice to see. He deserved every bit of that. He deserves more than that. And if any of you are here who were harmed by Jones, I hope you never let him forget that. And every time he shows up on this app, I hope he gets absolutely steamrolled. Look, he probably has some bills to pay. He's got a really big house, and it's hard to pay bills when you're a grifter, when your grift is exposed. He's not giving the money back. No, of course he's not giving the money back. That money's been spent. You see those? I mean, he says he financed those teeth. That money was spent on the house. That money was spent on his boots that he puts on the ground that for some reason are very clean J's, which I'm pro sneaker. I'm not trying to go at the sneaker heads, but yeah, he probably spent a lot of money on that Michael Kors book bag that you can get at an outlet for like $50. But yeah, that's probably enough shitting on Jones today. Let's get going. What the fuck is Trump doing? Oh, I also think that he doesn't like that I say he's Trump, that he's just like Trump. I think that hurts his feelings. This is a real post Trump put up. This is himself walking down a street. I did not notice this. Wait just a goddamn minute. He's on a mission from God, and nothing can stop what's coming. Can somebody verify this? Because I didn't see this before. Can I zoom in here? Is this the one that doesn't let me zoom? All right, you can't really see it. There is a picture of, I think that's Pepe. Jen, will you drop this in the Discord? And if anybody knows, like, can find the original post, Pepe the Frog is behind there too. I didn't even see that before. That's, I mean, if any, like, that's coded language. That's coded language for racist. But yeah, there's definitely the Pepe the Frog there. God is missing. I do not see God in this image. But I guess that's the mission Trump's on. Is this John? Yeah, is this from John Wick? Is that what this is? My whole screen is funny all of a sudden. Did it fix it? I zoomed in and then zoomed out, and I think it just doesn't show up on mine, but it probably shows up on yours. It's fixed? All right. That's how my morning started. I just pulled up Twitter, and I saw that, and I was like, son of a bitch. That's weird. Welcome, everybody, here from TikTok. Those of you who are here on TikTok, please help us protect the live. The stream gets taken down almost every day. We win the appeal, but we can't bring it back up once we've started. So if you could help, like it, I think the hearts, whatever you guys do, I don't know what you're supposed to do to all the shit that they tell you to do when you're on lives to protect the TikTok live. If you could do that, mods, my amazing mod team on TikTok, do your thing and help protect the live there on TikTok. This is just funny. I don't know why we never picked up on this. I think maybe some of you feel the same way. I feel like we should have picked up on this.
You trust President Putin? You know, in about 2 weeks.
Is Ukraine doing enough to get this?
I'd rather tell you in about 2 weeks from now.
You keep saying 2 weeks about President Putin. What is 2 weeks? Give us, what is the actual date? What is the timeline?
2 weeks or less, and if it's a little more at the time, I say, but, you know, they're losing a lot of people.
You see those little dates up at the top, April 27th, May 19th. Today is May 28th. So 2 weeks. Now we're still 2 weeks away.
I don't know why we didn't pick that up, but we should have probably figured it out on day one. I swear to God, I thought that war was going to be done. I thought we'd be moving along nicely now. I thought the world would be at peace. I'm starting to think that when Trump says stuff, he doesn't mean it. Call me crazy. Jen said, not sure what I don't even remember what I asked. Okay. I'm just looking for the original post, Jen. Yeah, it's there. Yeah, Midas Touch had it. This is the original post from, you can see it a little better there on Midas Touch. You can see Pepe back there. That's what I was looking for, Jen. Oh, they caught it too. This is also, I got this from Jim Stewartson. Jim Stewartson's like an anti-fascist. He's closely followed QAnon. All this stuff is like straight up QAnon. Like, he's on a mission from God, and nothing can stop what is coming. Like, nothing can stop what is coming. It was like an original Q drop. That's one of like their favorite lines. This is all This is all just QAnon shit. All that stuff that they claim that he doesn't know anything about, they do. It's a complete and total psyop for dumb people, and it worked really well. All of your dumbest relatives that love Trump love QAnon, and so that's just a gift to them. He throws that up on True Social as a gift to them. I want to say, I'm about to show you guys a video that it fucked me up a little bit. There are not a lot of people, like athletes or famous people, that I really, really have a like a vitriolic response to. And this particular celebrity athlete, my response to him is just I just find his entire personality cringy. I think he's probably a good guy. I just hate everything about him. I hate the way that he throws a football. I hate the way that he throws a baseball. I hate the way that he talks. I hate that he writes scriptures on his face. I have historically hated everything about Tim Tebow, and I apologize for the Florida Gator fans that are here today. I love the Florida Gator fans. God bless the Florida Gators, except for Aaron Hernandez. But I've never liked Tim Tebow. Ever, 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 ever. And I saw that Tim Tebow had gone on the Sean Ryan podcast, which I'm also not a big fan of Sean Ryan. However, I was very critical of Sean Ryan before the election, and I was critical of Sean Ryan when he went to Romania and didn't tell anybody how he funded that trip. And I was under the impression, and I think I was wrong, that Sean Ryan would be nothing but a Trump patsy. I've changed my opinion on Sean Ryan. I think Sean Ryan is an honest-to-God conservative who believes everything he says. I just happen to think he's wrong a lot. But I will say that I was wrong about Sean Ryan being just like a straight-up grifter. I do think he means what he says. He has been openly critical of the Trump administration. He's openly critical about the United States foreign policy regarding Israel. And so I think it's fair for me to say I was wrong about Sean Ryan. But Tim Tebow went on Sean Ryan, and we've all heard this message before. We've all said this message before. I've said this message before. But like all things political, nobody on the right gives a goddamn what we say, right? And we don't really care that much usually when somebody on the right says something. So when you have a message that comes from somebody who's beloved on a side, and that message mirrors yours, I think it's important to amplify that message. Here is Tim Tebow doing the unthinkable on the Sean Ryan podcast or show. I don't know if he calls it show or podcast. And this is from Podcast Nation HQ on TikTok.
The number one offender type is biological fathers, but by far it is being done by middle-aged Caucasian men. Many, over half of them, college graduates. Many of them are educated, good jobs. This isn't just who we're thinking about. Like they're technical savvy, and I think that it is time that we call them out. Like that, we can't stand by and stand back. Like we have to stand up and say, not only are we not doing our job as men, it's actually the opposite. Instead of being defenders and protectors of our families, we're hurting and abusing.
The number one risk to your kids are white, Christian, conservative men. That's the number one. At a higher level, that's the danger to your kids. People that look like me and Tim. Not the people that you love to demonize on the news, conservatives. Not the people that you love to cry about every day in comment sections. Not the people being rounded up by ICE right now. It's people that look like me. It's people that look like Tim. It's people that look like virtually every male Trump voter, like almost all of you. I thought that was incredible. I got like a little bit of goosebumps from Tim Tebow yesterday when I watched that. That was crazy to me. I was like, oh no, I don't want to like this guy. I like my quarterbacks to throw spirals, not wounded ducks. Yeah, it's a lot of you said like he's done, canceled. He's not getting a good response from conservatives about this, by the way. This isn't going well for him, and I appreciate him doing that. Do you guys remember the name Emil Bove? I think it's pronounced Bove. Emil Bove was Trump's first criminal defense lawyer. I think it was his first criminal defense lawyer after his presidency. And then he became Trump named him to a senior role at the Justice Department. First thing Bove did, he goes into the Justice Department and he just forces out all the ethics lawyers, just like anybody at the DOJ that stood in the way of Trump trying to get Eric Adams' case dismissed. He just throws them out, just gets rid of them. On Wednesday, so yesterday, I don't know how this might have happened after the show. Trump nominated Bove to be a federal court judge. He said, "It's my great honor to nominate Emil Bove to serve as a judge on the United States Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit. Emil is a distinguished graduate of Georgetown Law and served as assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York for nearly a decade, where he was the co-chief of the Terrorism and International Narcotics Unit. Emil is smart, tough, and respected by everyone. He will end the weaponization of justice, restore the rule of law, and do anything else that is necessary to make America great again. Emil Bove will never let you down." This is from Law Dork. It's Britt found this. W Britt in the chat, please. Britt did a lot of this research again today because she's incredible at this. But he got that judicial nomination on Wednesday. This author, which is Chris Geidner, said this. Simply put, Bove cannot become a federal judge, let alone an appellate judge. Don't just take my word for it. Greg Nunziata, former chief nominations counsel to Senate Republicans. This is the guy who, when Republicans nominate a judge, he kind of goes through their background and says, yeah, yay or nay on that. Called this an outrageous and unacceptable choice. In the thread, he wrote in part, "Many of my friends on the legal right who disagreed with my view of Trump insisted that we should expect Trump 2.0 judicial nominations to continue the generally excellent trend of Trump 1.0. Now, obviously, we disagree with the judges being great from Trump 1.0, but for conservatives, Trump actually did a pretty good job. He actually put up judges that were intelligent, that were qualified, but they had like a conservative bend to them. For the most part, a lot of his nominees are free of scandal. In fact, most of them are free of scandal. If he didn't, they said, conservatives would oppose him. He hasn't. Now the test is here. As an executive branch official, Bove has proven he cannot honor his oath or put law before politics. Putting him in a robe with life tenure and a much higher obligation to serve law over politics would be an obscenity. The Senate must reject this nomination." Now, he goes on to say Nunziata and he, the author here, have disagreed much over of the years. But if you forgot about Bove's actions regarding the Eric Adams case, go reread my report from February, which you can get from the link here. You can go read that. I'm concerned a little bit about this one. I'm concerned about like the lawlessness of this administration. Not just in terms of like Trump breaking the law and executive orders, but their attempt now to do illegal things and then put judges in place that allow them to do illegal things. The amount of like crime, like I was talking to Britt about this morning with when I was going over the stuff she'd sent me, and I don't even remember what it was. It was something about like shit. Now I don't even remember who it was about. Oh, it was about Tom Homan. And that Tom Homan had been paid like $5,000 from a private prison company. And I looked at that and I went over the story and I messaged Britt. I was like, I don't even know. The fucked up thing here is that $5,000 for any other administration, if this had happened, it would be like a tier 1 story. I'm not even sure if I can cover it. I don't even think that like warrants me covering it because there's going to be so many other things that I have to cover. And we were talking about that. That's what we're dealing with. Steve Bannon, when he talks about flooding the zone, this is exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about just putting in like all sorts of shit. You have to track it everywhere. Like I'm trying to track down Kash Patel. Like he randomly lives with like this billionaire in Las Vegas. He's using his jet to fly all over the place. Then you got Dan Bongino, who has questionable ties. You have Pam Bondi, who's the attorney general, who was like she was a lobbyist for the Qatari government. You have people who are on the AIPAC rolls. It's borderline impossible to keep track of all the crazy people that Donald Trump has appointed. And Republicans sit on their hands and pretend it doesn't happen. And this is the scary part with Emil Bove. And this is where we find out. This person is not qualified. This person is hyper partisan. They show a complete disregard for the law, and that's not according to me or other lefties. That's according to the people whose job it is to vet judicial nominees for the Trump administration, or for the Republicans, not the administration, for the Republicans. They're saying, whoa, not this guy. Not this guy. This guy will always put politics before law. And frankly, that's like why Republicans like him. I would imagine the Republicans here in the chat, I haven't seen you guys today. I'd assume that you like this because you're not like huge fans of democracy or the Constitution or any of that shit. Just mostly getting whatever you want. So that link and the link to his other story from February will be in the Discord. And just a reminder, you can join the Discord where we have lots of conversations. A lot of times we'll stream stuff like the Jones event yesterday. Jen streamed that in the Discord, and it's unedited in the Discord, so you can say whatever the hell you want. There's no like YouTube or TikTok or Twitch words that you can't say. You're free to do so. Joining the Discord's free. Just message any one of our mods. Mods, raise your hand if you're in TikTok, YouTube, or Twitch. Raise your hand, and if you want an invitation to the Discord, again, it's free. You just got to answer a couple questions, and then you can be in the Discord. All the links we share from every show are there, which is a good time to remind you also that we're crowdfunded, and we have a daily gift goal that we need to meet to keep operations going. And then we also have paid memberships on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. As a reminder, on Sunday, we have a special live stream. We don't do Sundays almost ever, but I filmed an episode of Jubilee last month, and that is premiering on Sunday. So for all paid subscribers from TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch, we will be doing a sub-only live stream on Sunday. And for anybody who's not subscribed, don't worry about it. You can see it the next day. On Monday, I'm going to a attempted murder trial to support my friend, and so I won't be here Monday. So we'll broadcast that Monday. I won't be here, but it'll go live at the same time that we're going live now. So you'll be able to see it Monday morning. But if you'd like to watch the premiere on Sunday, make sure you're a paid subscriber either on YouTube, Twitch, or TikTok. There we go. How'd I do, Jen? Did I miss anything? But Jay, what did you think Trump was going to do? He does whatever he wants and no fight back. Yeah, he's going to do whatever he wants. It's just our job to keep talking about it. Jen might not be here. Let me move on.
You did all right.
Oh, did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it.
Whoa, the energy is low this morning. Did we just wake up?
No.
No. Okay, I love you.
It could be weird. No, I walked away from my computer, but I was listening, so I had to run back to the song. So
You're good. All right.
all right.
Good.
So you already mentioned the gift goal, that good stuff. So I guess we helped knock it out before the end of the show. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Jen. All right. Sean Duffy wants you guys to remember that, public transportation's cool and everything. You can look at China's high-speed rail system. You can look at cities in America like New York City that wouldn't function without public transportation. But do remember that public transportation's cool until you realize there are poors. Sometimes there are poors that use public transportation. And that's why we can't have it.
Question.
Yes.
And by the way, listen, if you're a liberal, Larry, they want you to take public transportation.
True.
I'm okay with public transportation. We have a whole department here for it. The problem is that it's dirty. You have criminals, it's homeless shelters, it's insane asylums, and it's a work ground for the criminal element of the city to prey upon the good people.
Doesn't that sound like the passengers on Air Force One when they went over to the Middle East? And that's, if you didn't know any better, you would think that he's describing the passengers of Air Force One.
Larry, they want you to take public transportation. I'm okay with public transportation. We have a whole department here for it. The problem is that it's dirty. You have criminals, it's homeless shelters, it's insane asylums, and it's a work ground for the criminal element of the city to prey upon the.
It's also a crazy thing. Like, I don't know, they don't have homeless shelters or insane asylums like on public transit. You know what I mean? Like, if you're in a homeless shelter, guess what? You're not on public transit because you're in the homeless shelter. If you're in an insane asylum, do those exist? Does that even exist anymore? I don't think those exist. Aren't those outlawed? I may not know enough about this, but as far as I know, that doesn't exist anymore. But you would also be there. And since you can't be two places at once, and since liberals are not building homeless shelters or insane asylums on public transit, none of that made any sense. He just doesn't like poor people. He's just like, ew, other people are icky. There's blue collar workers, there's minorities, there's poor people. But he'll fly on Air Force One with criminals. No problem there.
Good people. So if you want people to ride a subway, make it clean, make it safe. It's very, very simple.
That's your job, you dumb bitch. This is the transportation secretary. I'm not going to do it because if you're going to do it, make it clean. Could you make it clean? I'm not going to do that. I'm not interested in making it clean. Get a mop and a bucket.
But these liberals, I don't know, Larry, maybe you figured them out. I don't get it. They don't think through this stuff, and they come up with stupid policy.
Well, they don't invite me to their dinner parties anymore in New York. I mean, so I just have to, deal with that.
They never invited me, Larry.
Mr. Secretary, another point.
I don't have any friends. Me neither, Larry. It might be because of dumb shit we say like this in front of millions of people. It might be because we say shit like, there's homeless shelters on public transportation. I don't know, though, Larry. Maybe we could go grab a slice.
Question.
Yes.
And by the way, listen, if you're a liberal.
All right, that's enough out of Sean Duffy for today. He's doing great. This whole administration is doing a real bang-up job. Transportation has gotten so much better since Sean Duffy took over. Just like airplanes falling out of the sky and shit. We don't have enough workers to keep it safe in the skies. They're trying to end all the infrastructure from the infrastructure bill just because Joe Biden bad, so we have to end it. They're doing great. Really good stuff by the Trump administration over there. Here is Kevin Cramer. This is kind of the theme of the show, and so I wanted to show this. Kevin Cramer is a Republican from, I don't remember where, a different state than I'm in. And he's saying the quiet part out loud about Donald Trump.
We also have to remember that no president in history has been overturned more often with his executive overreach than Joe Biden was. So what we're seeing is
got to get in the Joe Biden stuff. That's true, by the way. That's true. Notice how like they're like the judges are weaponized against Trump. This only happens to Trump. But then they're like, oh, remember, this happened a lot more to Joe Biden than it happens to Trump. It's hard to take both sides of that position, isn't it? They only do it to Trump, except for Biden. It happened more with Biden. But it's only bad when it happens to Trump.
I think the court's trying to reestablish the co-equal branches of government and the powers of each of them. I think everybody's right, including Donald Trump on this one. But the use of emergency powers is something that
North Dakota, that's where he's from.
Many presidents have stretched, as far as they can. And I don't think anybody can deny that Donald Trump has tried to stretch or maybe just explore the edges of executive power. And every now and then he's getting some pushback.
Yeah, he's just exploring. Like just ending amendments with executive order. He's just exploring it. That's how it's just a phase. It's just going through an exploratory phase with the Constitution, deciding whether or not he's going to commit to it. Danny, thanks for the super chat. Johnny Longtrail, thank you for the super chat. And balls in the chat for Johnny Longtrail. That's all Johnny wants to hear is balls. Petty said, don't forget how to turn your camera on. Oh, yeah, John Jones. Jones, I don't know if you guys saw it. Jones did something sick. He brought his daughter on camera and then pretended he didn't know how to turn his camera off. And then when there was anything bad happening to him, he would suddenly figure out how to turn his camera off. It was wild. You can watch the replay. It's wild. Annette says, Dollar Train, love all your content. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Here is Maria Bartiromo talking to more conservatives about Trump exploring the edges and experimenting with the Constitution. This is Andy Ogles from Tennessee, one of the biggest dick bags in Congress. His sole goal every day is to wake up and try and give Donald Trump an erection, and I think he might have pulled it off here.
So you're willing to break the Constitution and have President Trump have a third term?
Well, actually, I have a bill that amends the Constitution, and there's a process by which you can do that. Now, let's be honest, that's a tough and long road, has to go through the House, has to go through the Senate, it has to be ratified by the states. But I think what it does is it forces a conversation when you juxtapose the Trump administration, his vision for America, versus the failed policies of Joe Biden and what he did to the economy and international trade.
Yeah, I mean, the bill made a big splash when you first launched it. What kind of reception have you gotten from colleagues on that bill?
You know, again, it's one of those, it forces a conversation. We have a lot of support in the House. We haven't pushed it aggressively, quite frankly, because we've been working on it.
I just want to know, why do you guys want this guy to get a fucking third term? What's going so well that these people in Congress want a third term? Nothing's going well yet. This would be one thing if Trump had like turned everything around and everything was going well and he negotiated all these trade deals and he made world peace. I'd still oppose it. But it would at least make sense if you guys were like, look how great he's doing. But he doesn't. He just walks out in front of all of you, takes a steamy shit on the floor, and you're like, give him a third term. Did you see that? It all came out in one piece. That was incredible. If he had done anything, what has he done that you guys want a third term for? We just don't really want to learn new things, and we want to celebrate Donald Trump always. So we just want him to have a third term, please. We don't really know why. All we know is we're supposed to say nice things about Donald Trump. We cannot talk critically about Donald Trump. So we need him to have complete power over us and our party until he dies.
Reconciliation. But, you know, that being said, we all acknowledge the fact that getting it through the finish line, getting it ratified by the states would be a challenge. But it forces that conversation to say, what future, what vision do you have for America? And I think the Trump vision is clearly what the American people want.
It sure does. Meanwhile, Congressman,
I mean, he's underwater already, right? He won the election and his approvals are already like at historic lows for this point of a presidency. They keep saying this. They're going to say this for 4 years. We had a mandate. When they get their asses kicked in the midterms, they're going to be like, we have a mandate. Do you guys ever get sick of trying to function with like his balls resting on your face? Ever? This is a real person in Congress. We got real shit to fix. There's people that can't feed their families right now. We got war breaking out everywhere. He thinks like the best use of my time is to go in and tell everybody that we need to amend the Constitution for this historically great president, Donald Jeremetrius Trump. I don't get you guys one bit. I really don't. Did I get the donation at the end of the show yesterday? I'm not sure. Jen can check that. Amy said, come on, Jay, he did get one trade deal. Funny, why don't you bring up trade deals? Because we're going to talk about the trade deals here in a minute. But turns out maybe his trade deals aren't going to work out. This was crazy. This is from notice.org. Kennedy, remember we showed that announcement. Kennedy announced the Make America Healthy Again report. Grifters like, what's that lady's name? House and Habit celebrated this. Every granola MAGA woman that you know posted this. It's like, he did it for us. This is mission accomplished. Promises made, promises kept. And he put out a report citing studies that it appears don't exist. This is devastating. This is devastatingly stupid. I need you guys to know this. If a trigger warning, if devastating stupidity and incompetence triggers you, you may want to sit this one out. RFK says his Make America Healthy Again Commission report harnesses gold standard science, citing more than 500 studies and other sources to back up its claims. Those citations, though, are rife with errors, from broken links to misstated conclusions. 7. Oh, God. All right, I got to... Hold on. Apparently I have to sign up for this to keep reading it for free. You only get one try at it. Give me 1 second. I got to do a code. God damn. Sorry, Jen. I'm adding spam to our email. There we go. All right, now we're back up. All right. 7 of the cited sources don't appear to exist at all. Epidemiologist Catherine Keyes is listed in the Maha report as the first author of a study on anxiety in adolescents. When Notice reached out to her this week, she was surprised to hear of the citation. She does study mental health and substance abuse, she said, but she didn't write the paper that was listed. The paper cited is not a real paper that I or my colleagues were involved with, Keyes told Notice via email. We've certainly done research on this topic, but did not publish a paper in JAMA Pediatrics on this topic with that co-author group or with that title. It's not clear that anyone wrote the study cited in the Maha report. The citation refers to a study titled Changes in Mental Health and Substance Abuse Among U.S. Adolescents During the COVID-19 Pandemic, along with a non-functional link to the study's digital object identifier. While the citation claims that the study appeared in the 12th issue of the 176th edition of the journal JAMA Pediatrics, that issue didn't include a study with that title. The anxiety study wasn't the only one of the report's sites that appears to be mysteriously absent from the scientific literature. A section describing the corporate capture of media highlights 2 studies that it says are broadly illustrative of how a rise in direct-to-consumer drug advertisements has led to more prescriptions being written for ADHD medications and antidepressants for kids. The catch? Neither of those studies is anywhere to be found. Here are the 2 citations. Shaw, MB et al., 2008, direct-to-consumer advertising and the rise in ADHD medication among children. There's the source right there, Pediatrics 1225. Of course, if we click this, that's where it's going to take you. And then where's the other one? This Findling, direct-to-consumer advertising of psychotropic medications for youth, a growing concern. As you can see, when you click on them, they don't take you to a study. They take you to a list of studies, right? So then you had to go through the list of studies to find it. Those articles don't appear in the table of contents for the journals listed in their citations. A spokesperson for the VCU University, where psychiatric researcher Robert Finding currently teaches, confirmed to Notice that he never authored such an article. The author of the first study doesn't appear to be a real ADHD researcher at all, at least not one with a Google Scholar profile. In another section titled American Children are on too much medicine, a recent and emerging crisis, the report claims that 25 to 40% of mild cases of asthma are overprescribed. But searching Google for the exact title of the paper it cites to back up that figure, overprescribing of oral corticosteroids for children with asthma, leads to only one result, the Maha report. The corticosteroid study's supposed first author, pediatric pulmonologist Harold Farber, denied writing it or ever working with the other listed authors. He pointed to similar research he's conducted, but said that even if the Maha report cited that study correctly, its conclusions are clearly an overgeneralization of the findings. It is a tremendous leap of faith to generalize from a study in one Medicaid-managed care program in Texas using data from 2011 to 2015 to national care patterns in 2025, Farber said in an email. In one section about mental health medication, which Kennedy has railed against for years, the report cites a review paper it claims shows that therapy alone is as or more effective than psychiatric medicine. But one of the paper's statisticians told Notice that conclusion doesn't make any sense, given their study didn't even attempt to measure or compare therapy's effectiveness as a mental health treatment. We did not include psychotherapy in our review. We only compared the effectiveness of new generation antidepressants against each other and against a placebo. That's the research he always claims doesn't happen. Another medical researcher whose work was cited in a section about how screen time affects children's sleep told us the Maha report mischaracterized her study. The conclusions in the report are not accurate, and the journal reference is incorrect. It was not published in Pediatrics. Also, the study was not done in children, but in college students. She added that she even had more relevant research the authors could have used. I was not aware of the choice, or else I would have suggested one of the other ones. We said it yesterday, we'll say it again and again and again. I think what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing is trying to create guidelines and findings from the CDC and the NIH so that when he leaves office, he can go and he can sue these companies and make millions of dollars. And when he was asked in his confirmation hearings, will you promise that when you're done with this job, not to go back and sue the very companies that you just oversaw? And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. Amy said the worm made his homework. This entire fucking administration is just one big grift. It's just one big psyop. It's just one big lie. They just lie to you every single day. And every time they lie to you, somehow it makes you more upset at us. Every time they lie, it reminds you that Joe Biden existed. Every time they lie to you, you're like, oh, what is a woman? Every time. Yeah, I haven't been watching the chat, but is the chat been like, let's just talk about Joe Biden and the auto pen? Has the auto pen been mentioned today yet? I'm going to guess that the auto pen's been mentioned like 50 times. Xander said, for saying oral for Brie. What? Oh, I see. I said oral. Okay, gotcha. You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome for that. Let me check messages real quick. Nancy said, Jones is a bitch like Trump. Amen. Amen. Cash App was from yesterday. Let me look. Was that if the Cash App was from you, Vicky, from yesterday? Said thanks for all you do. I appreciate you. I don't remember if I read that or not, but it was before I ended the live, so I'm not sure. But thank you for that. I appreciate you. Let's see. In other news,
Let me
hi.
Hi. Let's do announcements. So we've got about 2.5 hours left, a little over 2.5 hours. We do this each day, Monday through Friday, from 9:30 to 1. We do this show. So if you look in that top left-hand corner is the balance for our gift goal. We are crowdfunded so that we can keep doing this each day. So if you guys could help us out, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all go towards knocking out that gift goal so that we can keep doing this each day to keep this going. If you haven't subscribed to us on TikTok or Twitch or YouTube, you might want to do that with a paid subscription because Jay is streaming his Jubilee episode this upcoming Sunday. So we're going to do a subscriber-only event. So if you want to watch that live with us, well, you got to be one of the paid subscribers to do that. If you disagree with Jay and would like to come on and talk to him in real time, how you can do that is if you look at the Venmo, that's the same username as my Discord. So JenDub1. If you want to DM me on Discord, I can bring you up to talk to him in real time. You don't have to complain in the comments. So if you want to do that, also check out our link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms, and we've got merch. So yeah, there's all that. Did I miss anything?
I'm just waiting for a joke.
Okay. Well, which flower can you never trust to tell the truth?
A dandelion?
No.
Damn.
I was gonna try to say something is a flower called a Jones, but there's not. I don't think there is one. It's a lilac.
Lilac. Damn, I should have got that. Jamar said, I missed Jamar's earlier. Shit, where did it go? The fucking gross manipulation by that little bitch of a man using his child and fake sorry voice was awful to see. Amen. Somebody said, did I miss yours? I don't know if I missed. Did I miss yours, Swish? Oh, Joey glass ass Bosa hurt in OTAs. Talk about it. Well, at least it's not Nick, I guess. Is it Nick Bosa or Joey Bosa that got hurt? I don't care about Joey Bosa. I don't really care about Nick Bosa either, but sometimes he helps my team. All right, this is from Occupy Democrats. This is unbelievable. This is from, according to Wired Magazine, is the original source. But I didn't want to pay for their subscription, and this was good enough. Hardcore MAGA Congresswoman Nancy Mace gets caught in a deeply humiliating scandal as it's revealed that she ordered her staffers to create fake online accounts to praise her. And again, you can check this. I understand I'm using Twitter right now, but Wired has this sourced from multiple people. And it gets so much worse. According to a source, we had to make multiple accounts, burner accounts, and go and reply to comments saying things that weren't true, even Reddit forums. We were congressional staff, and there were actual things we could be doing to help the constituents. Several former staffers spoke to Wired, and they stated that Mace made them create burner accounts on a variety of social media platforms to monitor what people were saying about her and bolster her image. Mace herself also created accounts and used them to monitor online chatter about herself. Now, as a regular consumer of Nancy Mace social media, let me tell you what people say about Nancy Mace. And now I'm concerned that the burner accounts that I was reading were her. If you go onto a Nancy Mace post, there's basically two groups of people on a three. You have people on our side of the aisle who think that she's like kind of a scumbag and that she's obsessed with trans people and that she is obsessed with getting media coverage. Then you have like the MAGA loyalists who just say things like Trump 2028, make America great again. And then there's the rest of Republican men who are just there because they're creeps and they're like, Nancy Mace is hot. Those are the three like comments that you'll see on any Nancy Mace post. So I don't know which ones were the fake ones, but I wouldn't put it past her to have like a couple people up there be like, oh, but she's hot though. In a desperate attempt at damage control, Mace's communications director, Sidney Long, stated that ordering staffers to create such accounts would be a slap in the face to taxpayers across the country. Yeah, it does feel like that. It feels like that a little bit. The only relationship the Congresswoman cares about is her one with South Carolina. What about Jesus? How dare they leave out Jesus? She's married to her job, and that is all the media should care about. Don't talk about things. She never talks about South Carolina, almost ever. And the only reason she's saying this is like the only relationship she cares about is the one with South Carolina is because she's running for governor in South Carolina right now. But does she do anything for South Carolina? Anybody from South Carolina here? When's the last time Nancy Mace did something for you? Besides that one time she ratted out her ex-fiance and all his friends for being like predators. I guess that was good. I don't think anything happened to them, but at least some of you now know the identities of a couple of predators. The former staffers also revealed that Mace's claim to be a self-taught coder is likely a fabrication. I never saw her coding shit, ever, one said. But I mean, she'd talk about tech a lot. If these allegations are true, and certainly they appear to be, the Mace is one of the most useless elected representatives in this country. Shout out Nancy Mace. I think that that's the problem that MAGA mostly has right now, is you don't have anybody who's serious about doing anything. You are such an unserious party. You have like a lifetime grifting con man as the center of your party. You're not allowed to say anything bad about them. Who is just getting every day wakes up and gets his dick kicked in trade wars, and every day wakes up to more and more bad news, and every day wakes up to the courts being like, "Hey, idiot, you can't do that." Every day. And you guys just go along with it. And everybody that like he has as a loyalist, they're all there for their own reasons. We know why Pam Bondi's there. We know why Kash Patel is there. We know why Dan Bongino is there. We know why Elon Musk was there. They're all there for their own reasons. None of them are there for you. None of them are doing anything for you. And I think like the further along we get, the more and more of you are going to realize that whatever you thought about their beliefs, whatever it was about the people that you voted for that got you excited, if you're being honest, if you're being transparent, you know goddamn well that they're not doing anything for you. In fact, they're mostly just like fighting stupid culture wars and confirming your ideas that everything is rigged against Republicans. They just show up and they complain about shit every day and they whine, and they're the people in power, and then they get absolutely nothing done. It's just all a bunch of like pathetic whining fucking losers who have their time to shine. And it's a weird thing too. Like, you don't want to shine as a member of Congress or as a senator. If you want fame, which all of these folks do, every right-wing, like big right-wing star, Ben Shapiro, who's that? Benny Johnson, Tim Pool, Steven Crowder, they all wanted to be famous. That was their goal from the start. They all tried different things. Like Tim Pool tried to be a musician. Ben Shapiro tried to be a screenwriter. Steven Crowder tried to be a stand-up comedian and an actor. And they all failed at becoming famous. And so they're like, I'll just become famous this way. And the only way to really become famous being a right-winger is to be like, you can't be honest. Show me a creator or a personality on the right that literally doesn't just show up and lie every day. And I don't really care. Like, if you guys want to say the same thing about lefties, give me some examples, Republicans, of lefties that do that. And I'm talking about individuals. Don't be cowardly and be like, oh, CNN and MSNBC. All they do, give me an example of somebody on the left who just shows up and lies every day. I don't know that I consume it all. If you're the left-leaning content that I consume is going to be like, I like Sam Cedar a lot. I think Adam Mockler puts out good stuff. I think Hassan can put out some good stuff. I don't know. They're not the Young Turks anymore. But who? Like, who on the left? Jeff, come tell me what I lied about. So far, no lies. I see, Jeff. You don't have to keep saying it. I see you. I ask you guys every day to come see you. It's just you. Yeah, that's all it is. It's you. And now this is a good time to remind you that instead of doing this in the comments, you are welcome to come up and correct me anytime, and I welcome it. I hope that you do, and if you catch me in a lie, I will apologize, and I will fix it. I hope you guys keep me accountable. But I do wish sometimes you would hold the other side accountable, too. Just wondering when you're going to start doing that. Why not the Young Turks? The Young Turks suck. That's why. Why not the Young Turks? Because they're sellouts. Why not the Young Turks? Because Cenk just likes to hear himself. Yeah, Jones. All right, there you go. You got me on Jones. You guys all got me on Mr. Jones. The funniest part was people telling him he was a capitalist yesterday and him just sitting there. There was nothing he could do about that. Examples of the Young Turks. How about the fact that the Young Turks took money from an illegal crypto casino to fund their studio? How about that? You're not even allowed to use that. Like, you're not even allowed to use that server. What's it called? The somebody help me. Do you guys remember what their studio is called? The it was that online like gambling place everybody went to bet on the election. What's it called? Does anybody have that? Polymarket. Thank you. Best chat in the game. Polymarket Studios. It's an illegal gambling site that like preys on people. And that's their studio. Now remember, these are the people that are like he always said he was far left. How about when he goes on and he meets with Republicans? And I appreciate it. Look, I think that if you're Cenk Uygur and you have a massive following and you want to go on and you want to use your platform to have a conversation with Charlie Kirk, I think you should do it. But I don't think that those conversations need to be like jerking each other off. I think those should be like policy-heavy discussions. And my problem with Cenk is that Cenk did a bunch of shit that people didn't like, and now he spends all his time complaining about it. And Anna Kasparian said some shit that people didn't like, and as soon as she got pushback, she's like, "This is why we're leaving this is why people are leaving the left." Yeah, cowards leave the left. Cowards, people who can't take criticism. People who are afraid that like if they fuck up and they face any sort of repercussions, that people are going to criticize them. It's what I love about being on this side. Honestly, I don't think anybody's above criticism on this side. There's nobody that's just like universally loved. Go look at I love Alina to death, and I like her channel. For those of you who are on TikTok, go look at her background. I don't know if I agree with everything she says, but go look at her background. Like the left isn't afraid to like say stuff about each other. And what the left also needs to realize is that the next step of all of this is like once you're held accountable, you have to fix it, and then we've got to move on. We've got to move on from those things. But that doesn't ever happen on the right. Never. They don't hold each other accountable. So when Cenk spends all this time and all this money to go and interview people and talk about like, oh, I'm reaching across the aisle. No, you're not. All you did is you just showed up and you're like, oh, we hate Democrats too. Cool. Did you talk about any policies? I think Cenk is, it's hard to say. Like Cenk always accuses Sam Cedar of being a grifter, but then he takes money from Polymarket. He takes big corporations. He's been doing it forever. He claimed for years he was self-funded, but they're taking corporate donations, which is fine. You can do that, but don't pretend that you're doing something else. If you're going to be a content creator, you're going to take corporate donations, you're going to take investment, just be honest about it. And if people leave your channel because you were honest about it, that's fine. But just be transparent. I just think that that their voices are not voices that I think really add much to the conversation. I think they're just mostly whiny. So there you go. Yeah, Hassan is Cenk's nephew, I believe. I think that's who they are. They're related somehow. I think it's a nephew thing. All right. All right, let's go to this. Republicans are a little upset. Laura Ingraham is not pleased with this Nippon, or as Trump calls it, Nissan U.S. steel deal that appears to be imminent. If you remember from the campaign, this was one of the few places where like Joe Biden and Donald Trump actually agreed. Where Joe Biden had put a stop to this merger between Nippon Steel and U.S. Steel. It's a Japanese steel company. They actually make great golf shafts. My personal favorite golf shafts. I'm a big fan of Nippon Steel. But Joe Biden put an end to that merger to protect American jobs. and to keep steel manufacturing here. And it was one of those places where Trump and Joe Biden had to say the same thing, and Kamala Harris had to say the same thing, because they were trying to win the steel belt. Right? They needed steel workers to vote for them. So they both said this will hurt workers. They agreed on it. Well, now that that's over, and I'm guessing some money has flowed into Trump crypto, suddenly we're going through with it. Suddenly this merger between Nippon and U.S. Steel is going through. And Nippon, the Japanese company, is going to be the majority owner. I think at 51% is what Laura Ingram's assuming. I went on their website. I can't see the breakdown of exactly what the percentage is, but everything I've seen reporting-wise says that they are going to be the majority owner. So if I'm wrong about that, I apologize. I haven't confirmed that. That doesn't feel like America first. And that doesn't feel like the same type of messaging that you're giving with tariffs. That we're going to tariff people so that everything is made here in America. Now, myself, I don't really care. I don't really care about these mergers. I would prefer more globalization. I think global trade, I think normalized trade relationships help with peace. And if you disagree with that, just like look over the course of a century and look at world trade and look at the normalized relations. At the end of the day, governments, citizens, they want to be able to pay for their homes, pay for their food. They want to have upward mobility. And so when you have global trade and you have global agreements like this, it leads to a more peaceful world. I'm a big fan of global trade. I don't like tariffs. I just wish, like, I'm more free market, I guess. I guess I'm a bigger free market capitalist than all the Republicans. I don't think the free market ends like at borders. I would love to see a free market all around the world, and I would love to see global cooperation. It just makes the most sense to me. Laura Ingram's different. She represents MAGA. So this pushback from Laura Ingram is for you in the chat, MAGA. This is your position. I don't agree with Laura Ingram, but she's raising some concerns for you.
Yeah, Congressman, I don't blame. I think
for them to take.
Yeah, you're doing what you should do for your district. I don't have any doubt about that. But President Trump campaigned against a deal that would end up with ultimately 51% control of a critical industry like steel in the hands of a foreign entity. Now, you're saying we don't see the terms of the deal. I'm the lawyer, so I want to see the deal. I don't know why they're hiding the terms of the deal. I haven't seen the deal. Have you actually seen the terms of the deal?
No, I have seen where CFIUS is on it and how those national security concerns can be mitigated. And I also know that the president has reviewed it, as has, I believe, Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, and others. But it's
I'd be happy to pay bills on time. I gave up on upward mobility a long time ago. That's a good point. Death, Metal Nick, Big Corpse hog all the money. I agree with that. I think some protections need to be made there.
Still being structured. Laura, and it needs to be highly satisfactory.
Right, Congressman, yeah, but I don't mean to be, I'm not trying to be difficult, but it's still being structured. But we have heard repeatedly that this is a partnership. On the U.S. Steel website, it says it's a good thing, basically, I'm paraphrasing, that we are being acquired by Nippon. Are you saying tonight that they're not being acquired by Nippon? Because that's what it says on the U.S. Steel website.
Thanks, Brandy. Brandy said, thanks, RTP and mods, for being amazing. I love y'all. Thank you.
I'm saying it's strictly an investment, just like the other investments that the president's economy that he's creating are being made. It will be American-owned. It will be American-run.
He did say Howard Nutlick. Should we go back there? Sorry. He did say that. I forgot that part.
Other investments that the president's economy that he's creating are being made. It will be American-owned.
Did I go back? I didn't go back far enough. Sorry.
Because that's what it says on the U.S. Steel website.
I'm saying it's strictly.
Where did I miss it? He did say Howard Lutnick. I'm sorry. I was reading that message when that came through. He did say Howard Nutlick.
An investment, just like the other investments that the president's economy that he's creating are being made. It will be American-owned. It will be American-run. The White House has investigative and oversight authority, and that is what we have, the deal that we have. And I will tell you this. The president was against it initially until he reviewed it, until he made it better, until he came in and made it with no national security concerns and a great investment for Pennsylvania and keeping U.S. steel, American steel being.
the president wasn't involved in that. I don't know why. Like, do you guys think the president like goes in and negotiates deals for businesses? And if so, do you think that's a good idea? It is amazing the amount of stuff that Republicans give credit to Donald Trump for. And the reason that they do that is because they have to do it. If you want anything done, just praise Donald Trump. I'll show you what I think happened. I'll show you in a second. But I just think that all that happened is everybody who works in business realizes that Donald Trump is a child who just needs to be praised and needs to be worshipped. And so if you just do even just that, give him a little money, worship him publicly, you get whatever you want.
Manufactured here where strategically we need that to happen.
There was a period of time when we were buying foreign companies and critical manufacturing, but now foreign countries and companies are buying and are, you know what I'm saying. I see what you're saying, and we need to see the terms of the deal.
Let me show you their website. So she says we need to see the terms of the deal. Here's U.S. Steel's website, and here's their announcements. I just want you to look at this. U.S. Steel statement on President Trump's leadership. This is a private business. President Trump is a bold leader and a businessman who knows how to get the best deal for America, American workers, and American manufacturing. U.S. Steel will remain American, and we will grow bigger and stronger through a partnership with Nippon Steel that brings massive investment, new technologies, and thousands of jobs over the next 4 years. U.S. Steel greatly appreciates President Trump's leadership and personal attention to the futures of thousands of steel workers and our iconic company. Yeah. They just had to praise him, kick him a little money. Look down here. Moving forward together as the best steelmaker with world-leading capabilities. Where were these graphics? China wants this deal to fail. Don't let that happen. Independent third-party economic study on Nippon Steel's investments. That's a good one. Where was this one? Scroll down. Why does Pennsylvania need the Steel Nippon merger? Here we are. The widespread support. The potential sale of U.S. Steel to Nippon Steel presented a significant opportunity for Gary and the American steel industry to grow and prosper. Now we face an uncertain future with Gary Works potentially losing investment and jobs. Where is it? Let me find it. President Biden claiming Japan's investment in American Steel Company is a threat to national security is a pathetic and craven cave to special interests that will make America less prosperous and safe. I'm sorry to see him betraying our allies while abusing the law. Trump did it too, though. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird how Trump said it was a problem too? But they only brought up Joe Biden there? Somebody's telling him, like, just say some shit about Joe Biden. Talk about how bad Trump is. Say some shit about Joe Biden. Put it up on your website, and then we'll be good. This is literally Jason Furman, worked for Trump. The Biden administration's politicization of Nippon Steel acquisition of U.S. Steel threatens to impose a high economic cost on the American people in the years ahead. If you don't let these Japanese companies buy American companies, we're fucked. That's what they're saying. And it's Joe Biden's fault. President Biden's insistence that blocking the U.S. Steel merger would be beneficial for U.S. security and career prospects of U.S. steel workers reflect a fundamental misunderstanding of the industry. Again, Trump was running on that same thing. But what happened? When do you think all these quotes came? After the election, right? After they started lining his pockets with money. Suddenly, Trump couldn't be bothered to fulfill his promise that he wouldn't let this merger go through. Just interesting. Isn't it interesting how quickly he changes his tune and how quickly you guys change your tune? Never mind. Never mind. We disagree with that version of Trump. We now agree with the current version of Trump. Let's see. Bradley says, what do you call an expert fisherman? A masturbator? That's true. That is a true fact. Thank you for that, Bradley. Check here. And once again, just a reminder, we are crowdfunded. We got enough people here. We could knock out the entire goal if we started a dollar train. Venmo, Cash App. I'm not supposed to say those. Those payment apps are above me, as well as super chats and gifts on TikTok. All that stuff's available for you. All right. There was a pardon given to a former congressman yesterday. His name is Michael Grimm. Now, Michael Grimm isn't in prison. He did serve his time, so this isn't like getting somebody out of jail time. But Grimm was a Republican lawmaker who represented Staten Island and parts of Brooklyn in Congress from 2011 to 2015. And he pled guilty in 2014 to aiding and assisting the preparation of a false tax return. He went to prison for 7 months, had a month of house arrest, 200 hours of community service. What he did is, among other things, concealing just under $1 million, $900,000 in gross receipts from a Manhattan restaurant he was a member of called Healthalicious. Jesus Christ. I hadn't read that part before. Or it didn't register. An accountant then used the false information to file false federal and state tax returns for the restaurant. And then last year, Grimm was injured badly after being thrown from a horse in a polo tournament. Now, the question is, like, why are we pardoning this guy? I'm going to guess, I could only assume he was given some money, but I do want you to remember that this guy was an absolute psycho. Here was him. I don't know who this reporter is, but a reporter had the audacity while he was a congressman to bring up the fact that he was a tax cheat. And look how he responds to this.
And just finally, before we let you go, since we have you here, we haven't had a chance to kind of talk about some of the...
I'm not speaking about anything that's off topic. This is only about the president.
Well, what about...
Thank you.
All right, so Congressman Michael Grimm does not want to talk about some of the allegations concerning his campaign finances. We wanted to get him on camera on that, but he, as you saw, refused to talk about that. Back to you.
Why? Let me be clear to you. You have to do that to me again. I'll turn you over.
Just in case you can't read that or hear it, he said, let me be clear to you. If you ever do that to me again, I'll throw you off this fucking balcony. Why? I just wanted to ask you. If you ever do that to me again...
Why? It's a valid question.
It's a valid question. No, you're not man enough. You're not man enough. I'll break you in half like a boy. I don't know what that means, by the way. This might link to what Tim Tebow was saying. Psycho. Guy's an absolute fucking psycho. Not only is he a criminal, he's also he hates accountability. He and Jones might be good friends. Somebody introduce him to Jones. Maybe Jones will get a pardon if anybody ever charges him with crime. I didn't remember when that happened. A lot of people are saying they remember that. I don't remember that. That was 2019. Yeah, I was a little off politics in 2019. I don't know that I was following it that closely. I didn't remember any of that. Check his hard drive. Just a fragile little bitch of a man. Thank you, Marianne, for the super chat. I appreciate you very much. And Kelly, also thank you for joining the Dollar Train. All right, moving on. In Nashville. Now, I don't really know how he's getting this information, but in Nashville, the mayor of Nashville has been I guess I don't really know what he's doing. Like, he accidentally released the name of some Homeland Security officials. He says it was an accident. I tend to probably agree with the Republicans who say it wasn't an accident. It is, however, not necessarily a crime. And DHS officials, ICE officials, they're not necessarily granted anonymity. So through FOIA requests, you can get this information. It should not be blocked with FOIA requests. But the Republicans have decided that anybody who steps in and tries to protect people will be arrested. And I just want to know, like, what's the fucking difference between... Now, listen, I understand concentration camps happened and the extermination of Jewish people happened. And I just want to be clear that that's not what I'm talking about right now. But before all of that happened, it seems lost on many Republicans that what they did before they exterminated the Jewish people, or tried to exterminate the Jewish people, everything else they did before that was also a problem. Blaming Jewish people for all of the problems in their country. Taking those Jewish people, rounding them up, detaining them, putting them on trains, and sending them to concentration camps outside of their own country. All of that was bad, too. I know it's not the part we focus on because obviously the end result was an attempted genocide of the Jewish people. But all of that is bad, too. And for Republicans, please explain to me the difference here. Explain. They lost their due process. Essentially the claim against them was like, they should not have been here. They came in because we had soft immigration laws. We're going to fix this problem here in Germany, and we are going to undo our soft immigration laws. We are going to suspend whatever due process they had in Germany. We're going to take these people. We're going to round them up. We're going to put them on trains. We're going to send them out of the country in concentration camps. And by the way, said Hitler, if you stand in our way, if you stand in the way of us rounding up Jewish people, you also are committing a crime. Do not stand in the way of us ending due process. Do not stand in the way of us treating people horrifically. Don't do it, or you're in trouble too. I just want that to be a reminder that part was fucked up. And in America, in World War II, when we round up Japanese Americans and we threw them in internment camps, that also was fucked up. And it's very easy for all of us as Americans to agree it was fucked up in America, it was fucked up in Germany. But conservatives have this habit. I don't remember what clip it was yesterday, but every issue you could ever think about in the history of this country that was awful, conservatives are on the wrong side of it. And that's why they always talk about Republicans versus Democrats, because what they don't want you to realize is that, like, when it was Democrats doing the horrific things, the Democrats were conservatives. They were the ones, like, fighting against rights. They were the ones fighting against equality. But those were conservatives, Southern conservatives, mind you. And so I just want to put that out there, that right now what we're talking about is we're talking about suspending due process. Story after story now that ICE agents have started going to courthouses. And when people are going for their due process to explain their claim, they are being arrested either before or after, and they are being deported. So even people who are doing their best to follow the law, to make up for the fact that they're here illegally, whether it's on an overstayed visa or they crossed illegally, whatever it might be, now they're saying, oh, we can't let them become legal. We can't let them go through this process. We can't let them get away with a misdemeanor. We better deport them. And then when judges are like, hold the phone, they're like, we'll arrest you. And when mayors say, hold the phone, like, hold up a minute, like, there's a better way to do this, they say, we'll arrest you. And here's what they're bragging about now on Wake Up America. I don't know, what's this on? Is this Newsmax? News Nation? I don't know what this is on.
Challenging the mayor, Freddie O'Connell, because we've been hearing that this mayor is really going to all lengths to kind of protect those in his city who were there illegally, possibly interfering with ICE agents. What can you tell us?
Can somebody get rid of Kyle the God Rittenhouse? Thank you.
Yeah, it certainly looks like Mayor O'Connell was involved in some sort of obstruction or the harboring.
Oh, and real quick, Kyle Rittenhouse is a bitch. I want to throw that out there too. I know that's your username, but Kyle Rittenhouse is a bitch.
Of criminal illegal aliens in the great city of Nashville, but also just last night, his office put out the names of Homeland Security investigators and doxed our ICE enforcement officers. They claimed it was a mistake. There's zero chance it was a mistake, and there will be repercussions. Our ICE enforcement officers are already facing a 400% increase in assaults against them, and he's essentially handing over intelligence to these criminal.
How do you think they're having an increase in assaults against them? And what are we calling assault? Remember what was that congresswoman's name that, like, accidentally bumped it, like, got pushed into an ICE agent? And they're like, that's assault. God, you guys have turned into a bunch of whiny little bitches. Assault cases are up. When we try to arrest people's mothers, they stand in our way. That's assault. That's why the numbers are up. Can anybody show me clips of ICE agents, like, being pummeled, being assaulted? No, there's not. Where are the clips of that? They're just calling anybody getting in their way assault.
Gangs so that they can target our ICE enforcement officers. It's wrong, and it's beneath the city of Nashville, and I hope he will face consequences.
Wow.
Do you have any
challenging?
Yeah, that's right, guys. Don't get in our way of rounding people up. Who are the good guys? Who were the bad guys when these roundups happened in World War II? In America and in Germany, who were the bad guys? The ones that were trying to protect people from being rounded up? Does history remember them as the good guys or the bad guys? I think bad guys. I think they were or good guys. Excuse me. I think they were mostly the good guys. Let me read some comments here. Wasn't me said, need your help scratching an itch on my tonsils. Thank you. Kelly, thanks for joining the Dollar Train. Get yourself a popsicle stick. Get it together. And I think I got that one. All right, moving on. This is devastating. Anybody from Missouri here? Can you guys? Your government needs to get it together in Missouri. This is like the states' rights shit that Republicans claim they love, and it creates such a chaotic environment. When we undid Roe, and now you have judges who like get to inject their personal feelings all the time, we are creating a really horrific world for women in this country. This is not a good time in America to be a woman. This is horrific. And imagine just being somebody living in Missouri, minding your own goddamn business, and like every day waking up to new news about like who gets to make decisions about your body.
Start us out here at 4. The abortion ban in Missouri is back in effect. More than 6 months after Amendment 3 legalizing the procedure was passed by voters.
Yeah, fuck those voters, though, right? The people of Missouri are like, hey, we need to protect abortion. And we thought that was the end of it. We celebrated it here. We're like, great job, Missouri. We were, and we said, this is great. Even red states, even red voters are recognizing like abortion rights need to be protected. The people of Missouri spoke. And the government of Missouri said, hold on just a second.
The legal battle takes a new turn this afternoon. Our Corey Stark is live in the newsroom for us, breaking down the new details. Corey.
Yeah, Cameron, good afternoon. Today, the Missouri Supreme Court decided.
Let the states decide. No, not like that. No, never mind. No states' rights. States' rights are good. Never mind. No states' rights.
The judge who overturned the ban did not meet the legal standard for issuing those temporary restraining orders. In December, Judge Jerry Zhang ruled the abortion ban to be unconstitutional. In February, she ruled licensing requirements for clinics who provide abortions were discriminatory. That cleared the way for abortions to resume across the state, including at the Planned Parenthood location in the Central West End. However, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey asked the Supreme Court to step in, arguing women going to abortion facilities were not safe because of a lack of regulations. Missouri's
now the deregulate everything. The deregulate Republicans are like, hold on, there's not enough regulation. We need more regulation. These women aren't safe. These voters don't know what they're doing. I'm here to protect women.
Supreme Court judges agreed, saying Zhang did not meet the legal standard in her rulings. Judge Zhang could reissue those orders with a different reasoning, but right now, in the midst of this legal limbo, abortions are banned. Now, we have reached out to Planned Parenthood to see how they're responding to this news, and so far, we are waiting to hear back.
It's just a shout out. Anytime you can, whatever state you're in, any of these abortion right activists, help them out. Shout out Umbrella Brigade. I don't know if you guys are here. Shout out Umbrella Brigade. If you're in Florida, you think about maybe helping out with the Umbrella Brigade. Great people down there. And just as a side note, fuck Mr. Jones. Just I think that needs to be stated there as well. All right, now I'm going to move on to more states' rights shit. This is new to me. I'll assume this may not be news to a lot of you. I saw this clip today from Jared Zisser on TikTok. Shout out Jared Zisser. And then I did a little digging. But let me show you what started me along this little journey.
We have some basically really hard to understand and terrible news. Trump administration just ended a federal school.
Sorry, this is a little quiet. I can't fix that.
Desegregation order that has been in place for nearly 60 years. The order was originally put in place back in 1966 to force racist school districts in the South to desegregate. But this week, the Justice Department under Trump officially canceled that order in Plaque Mines Parish, Louisiana. The reason? They say the order is outdated and a burden on local schools. Trump's Assistant Attorney General Harmet Dillon called it a correction of historical wrong. Civil rights experts and education advocates are sounding the alarms. They say that when federal desegregation orders are lifted, school districts often start resegregating, which means Black and Latino kids get stuck in underfunded, under-resourced schools again. Right now, over 130 school districts, mostly in the South, are still under federal desegregation orders. This could be the first of many to be rolled back. And this move is part of a much bigger pattern. Trump's team is also trying to end civil rights oversight on police reform, voting rights, LGBTQ+ protections, and more. So why end this now? If history is an indication, it's not because equality has been achieved, it's because federal protection is being intentionally dismantled. Follow me on Instagram and Substack for all the updates and the full story.
All right. I'm not saying that the Republicans are all white nationalists, okay? I'm not saying that. In fact, I'm not specifically saying anybody but Stephen Miller is a white nationalist. But just if, play the hypothetical with me. If you Republicans and your party were white nationalists, isn't this exactly what you would do? I think maybe sometimes we get stuck on like, are you or are you not? But effectively, it's the same. These are white nationalist talking points. These are things white nationalists have been trying to do for ages. If effectively you're a white nationalist, I don't really care what your personal beliefs are. And for anybody who saw that video, like I understand just seeing that video, it's like, wait, hold on. And my first thought, if we're being honest, because I try and give you guys the benefit of the doubt, I swear to God I do. I have Republicans in my life who I love dearly. And when I put this show together, I try and remember to speak like I'm speaking to them. And they're all used to me saying a lot of bad words, so they don't care about that. But I try and say, like, I try my best to not cover something that I'm blowing out of proportion. Sometimes I do. I think mostly I don't. So when I saw this, I thought, you know what? This might just be an outdated law. It might just be silly. Maybe they're just getting rid of it for a reason. So I decided to dig into it because I don't want to just be reactionary. I found a ProPublica shit. Wait. Mother damn. Let me find this. I found a ProPublica article, and I think it was published in 20. Let's see. There it is. I just put the wrong link. This was published in November of this last year. And I would read a clip before I show it to you. I want to read an excerpt from it. Again, this is from November of last year. On May 14th, the final day for submitting new bills in the Mississippi legislature, a bold new package of them landed on the desks of Mississippi lawmakers. The plans called for the creation of a voucher program that paid for students to attend private schools. A few weeks later, in the heat of mid-June, the governor urged lawmakers to support the $40 million program, promising that it will bear the sound fruit of progress for 100 years after this generation is gone. Public school support would continue, he assured, but vouchers would strengthen the total education effort by giving children the right to choose the educational environment they desire. Sounds an awful lot like what other states are doing with school choice. I live in Arizona. That's kind of what they say. Is like school choice makes education better. It's really not about trying to take education away from poor folks. It's all about making education stronger. Now, all of that sounds great till you find out that was 1964. The school voucher program that I was just discussing happened in 1964. On the heels of our government saying no more segregation. You can't segregate schools anymore. And on the heels of that, notoriously not racist state Mississippi introduced a school voucher program. Don't worry, they said. Public schools will do great. This will just make everything a little bit better. Gets so much goddamn worse than this. Key backers of the move included a group of white segregationists that had formed after the Supreme Court ruled state-mandated public school segregation unconstitutional. Across the South, courts had already rejected or limited similar voucher plans in Alabama, Louisiana, Virginia, and Arkansas. But Mississippi said, go fuck yourself. And Mississippi lawmakers plowed forward anyway and adopted the program. For several years, the state funneled money to white families eager for their children to attend brand new private academies opening as the first black children arrived in previously all-white public schools. Now, 60 years later, ProPublica has found that many of these private schools, known as segregation academies, still operate across the South, and many are once again benefiting from public dollars. Now, the point of, before we get too far into this, I want to make sure that we're clear on this, Republicans. When you hear what I'm about to read, I want you to frame it in the same way. Am I accusing you individually of being racist and wanting to make sure that black children or brown children don't get the same education of white children? No. What I want you to look at is effectively, what does this create? Effectively, does this create equality? Effectively, does this help white students, black students, brown students in the same way? Or is it disproportionately affecting certain people? Again, don't internalize what I'm saying. We're not talking about like public, you on the street corner saying the N-word. What I'm saying is like legislatively, legislation can have an impact on different people, and that's what we have to look at. Like, that's the whole point of equality, right? You want to make sure that when you put policies in, that they don't disproportionately affect one group, or that one group doesn't get all the benefit based on their skin color. So let's look at effectively what has happened. Those 60 years later, the segregation academies still operate across the South. Many are once again benefiting from public dollars. Earlier this week, ProPublica reported that in North Carolina alone, 39 of these original academies have received tens of millions in voucher money. In Mississippi, where this story is taking place, we identified 20 schools that likely opened as segregation academies and have received almost $10 million over the last 6 years from states' tax credit donation program. 20 of them. Now you say, oh, well, segregation doesn't exist, so maybe they've adjusted. Just because they started as segregation academies doesn't mean that they are segregation academies forever, right? And if they weren't segregation academies forever, we would see some evidence of that. We would see that that the membership was more equal, right? At least 8 of the 20 schools opened with an early boost from vouchers in the 60s. The origins of private schools receiving public funds were with the segregation academies. Overturning Brown, this is from Steve Suits, who wrote Overturning Brown, the Segregationist Legacy of the Modern School Choice Movement. As of at 15, I think it's supposed to say at least 15 of the 20 academies benefiting from the tax credit program, student bodies were at least 85% white as of the last federal private school survey for 2021 to 2022. And among those 20, enrollments at 5 were more than 60 percentage points wider than the communities in which they exist in. Another 11 were at least 30 percentage points wider than the community they existed in. In 1964, the White Citizens Council was among those pushing for the voucher plan. The pro-segregation group was founded by the Mississippi Delta town of Indianola in the 1950s by Robert Patterson, who sought to, not Pattinson, don't take strays, Pattinson, who sought to save our schools if possible from integration. And if that failed, to develop a system of private schools for our children. This was by design. So knowing that it was by design, if you are going to say that this is not racist now, you would see evidence of that in the numbers, right? Again, I'm not saying that just because something was founded that way, that means that's who they are today. I think that's a flawed argument. But the data seems to back up that it is still white students who are benefiting from this. Over the voucher program's first 4 years, the number of new segregation academies that received public dollars snowballed from 2 to 49. Among them, 48 enrolled 0 black students. Just 96% of them didn't enroll black students. 1 did admit black children, but only black children. No teachers, no administrators, nobody working at the school. So shout out to those 2 woke schools who allowed a few black students, but no black workers. In 1968, Mississippi lawmakers increased each voucher to $240. 4 years later, they doubled it. The following January, black families in Mississippi prevailed in a federal class action lawsuit against the state, challenging the voucher's constitutionality. A panel of federal judges found that the program supported the establishment of a system of private schools operated on a racially segregated basis as an alternative available to white students seeking to avoid desegregated public schools. The program violated the Constitution, which I know you guys don't care about anymore. It's just like pretty to hang on your wall, but we don't care about like the checks and balances and all that shit. Parents could choose segregated private schools for their children, but the voucher program involved the state in that discrimination, which is why it was ruled unconstitutional. It was too late, though. The academies were up and running. 5 decades later, after the court tossed its early voucher program, Mississippi's legislature found a way to reestablish the private school funding. In 2019, the state launched its Children's Promise Act, which provides incentives to businesses to participate in a state-funded program for private schools. The program gives businesses a dollar-for-dollar tax credit up to 50% of their total tax liability. So you can write off 50% of the taxes that you owe to the state if you give it to the Children's Promise Act, which gives money to private schools. Public schools, no, but apparently private schools, it's fine. Including that was for donations to certain educational charities, including private schools. The act claims to help children who are low income, living in foster care, or diagnosed with chronic illnesses or disabilities. Like all things Republicans do, they just say this is what the bill is going to do, and then none of you ever look at what the bill actually does. That's what I would say too if I was trying to hide this. ProPublica found that segregation academies represent at least a fifth of all schools in Mississippi benefiting from the tax credits. Central Holmes is one. The school has received $812,000 from the tax credit fueled donation since 2020. Those resources help it improve academic programs, update technology, and facilitate professional development. As of the last federal private school survey, Central Holmes reported a student body that was 82% white, a shift from 95% white a decade ago. So good, we made a little progress, but a far cry from representative of the community around it. Holmes County is barely more than 15% white. This is a white minority county where this school is, everybody with a little bit of money is able to send their white kids to a white school, not public school. Is this benefiting the county? No, it's benefiting a small percentage of the county. Chris Terry, who's been the headmaster since 2022, noted that during that time, the school has had Asian, Hispanic, and Black students enjoying success. Among them were a Black valedictorian and homecoming queen. To me, this shows our school's desire to move past the past and forge a new future for our students and families, Terry said in an email. He added that he couldn't comment on the school's origin because he wasn't alive at the time. This is not enough. And this is like the real disconnect that conservatives and people on the left have a problem with. Is conservatives look at what like Terry says here, and he's like, oh well, look, there were Black students, there were Asian students, there were Hispanic students, but it is still disproportionate. And you cannot have equality until you have equality. These programs should not exist. These programs uphold white supremacy. And the excuse for it is, oh, well, we're trying, though. We're better. We're 13% better now than we were in 1964. My mom and dad both went to Brigham Young University. My mom was a teacher there. In 1978, the Mormon Church decided they would allow Black men to hold the priesthood in the Mormon Church. And they did that because the entire NCAA was boycotting BYU football, and that's a good revenue driver for the university. So then the prophet talked to God, and God's like, yeah, now's the time. Let's do it. And ever since then, it has been very, very difficult for BYU to recruit players who aren't white Mormon guys until now. Now they can pay players, so some people, I think, hold their nose and come to BYU because they're getting a bag. But this stuff like reverberates among generations later. Even when you have desegregated schools, that wasn't the end of it. It's 2025. It's 2025, and a county that is barely 15% white is getting state funding for their school that is 82% white. I don't know how we look at this and say like this is good. Like this is a good bill. I don't know how Republicans look at this and say, no, this is fine. Well, you guys always call everything racist. Well, what is it then? If it's not racist, what is it? Jen, did I hear you? That was the end of this.
You didn't hear me, but you can now.
Oh, hey.
Let me see. Hold on for you. All right, so we've got a little less than 2 hours left of the show. Have you updated the total?
I'm doing it right now.
Okay. So he's updating in the top left-hand corner the remaining balance of our gift goal. This is our job. We do this each day, Monday through Friday, from 9:30 to 1 Pacific Standard Time. With us being crowdfunded, we do rely on your donations to help us keep going and keep doing this each day. So if you guys could help us out with Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all that go towards knocking out that remaining balance. If you haven't subscribed yet on any of the platforms, please do so. We're going to have a subscriber-only event this Sunday for RTP streaming his Jubilee episode that he participated in. So if you guys would like to be part of that premiere, please subscribe so you can join us for that. If you guys disagree with RTP, and I see lots of you, especially on YouTube, chat want to like run your mouth about how wrong Jay is, and you could prove him wrong because you can own this lib, but none of you have DM'd me on Discord. I've said it to many of you. So if you're not scared, grab a pair and DM me on Discord. It's the same as the Venmo.
Jen doesn't.
Jen,
Jen doesn't offer sliding into her DMs unaccosted very often. So this is your chance.
I mean, you'll probably still get accosted, but
Oh, okay.
at least you can come on and talk. So I mean, I'm not guaranteeing I'm going to be nice.
Oh, okay. My bad.
I mean, I'm not going to socialize, but I'll get you on the talk. So, anyways,
Don't talk
so
to
if you
me.
want to DM me, yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna make small talk like I do with you. Like how much you enjoy the small talk.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's how you get on is DM me on Discord, JenDub1, and also check out our link tree. We're on most social media platforms, and we've got merch. So I think that's most of it. What does the receptionist at a sperm bank say to clients as they leave?
Come again?
Thanks for coming.
Thanks. Damn. God, that was an easy one. Shit. Well done, Jen. Lisa says, what's hot, pink, and wet? A pig in a hot tub. Get your guys' minds out of the gutter. Get it together. Lauren says, for Jen not having the friendly chatting. She's definitely not having that. And Tracy, thank you for the donation there. Let me read these on Jen's. Red Fox, thanks for joining the Dollar Train. Kimmy said new antidepressants for lesbians. It's called Tricoxagen. Sorry, I'm a child. Jen said they also repealed our sick pay and minimum wage increase in Missouri. Jesus. Good job, Missouri. You guys are doing so great over there. It's the show me state? And then Perrin says Taco Bell has the Doritos Locos Taco. What's next? The Cheeto Chicken Taco. We're about to get to that. That's a pretty good segue there. Let me update the goal here. Let's see. Math is hard. There we go. Boom. All right. And like Jen said, Republicans, you're welcome to come up and talk about this. I just want to show one more clip because this is my problem with Republicans and their states' rights argument. It's states' rights for everything that they don't want or that they don't want the federal government involved in. But then like it's federal government other times. Listen to where he got. Remember when Parker stumped Jordan Peterson and he got mad and he just like rage quit? This guy should have Jordan Petersoned his way out of this. This is Governor Mike Braun. He's the governor of Indiana. He's talking about SCOTUS weighing in on issues that he believes should be state issues. And he gets cornered here. And instead of backing out of the corner or changing his words, he just doubles down.
So you would be okay with the Supreme Court leaving the question of interracial marriage to the states?
Yes, I think that that's something that if you're not wanting the Supreme Court to weigh in on issues like that, you're not going to be able to have your cake and eat it too. I think that's hypocritical.
What about Griswold versus Connecticut?
Well, you can list a whole host of issues. When it comes down to whatever they are, I'm going to say that they're not going to all make you happy within a given state, but that we're better off having states manifest their points of view rather than homogenizing it across the country as Roe versus Wade did.
That's legitimately like the Confederate argument. Legitimately, that's the Confederate argument. No. States should be allowed to strip people's rights away. And if you don't like that, go to a different country. That's legit. What's the difference between that and the Confederates' argument? That's their exact argument. In fact, modern day Confederates, or MAGA as we call them, they say this. They're like, oh, well, they say the Civil War was about slavery, but it was about states' rights. Yeah, states' rights to do what? Just states' rights to do what? But Griswold versus Connecticut, that's the contraceptive one, right? Supreme Court ruled that a state law prohibiting the use of contraceptives violated the right to privacy. Yeah. That states couldn't tell you couldn't have a contraceptive. And when he asked about that, he's like, yeah, that should be states too. Yeah, the states should totally have the right to ban you from using a contraceptive. Like, fuck the Supreme Court. That's your party now at this point. States should just be able to strip your rights away. They love that in Missouri. It's going well in Missouri. Brad said, why did the pool table laugh? Because its balls were tickled. Jamar says, once again, Jones is a little bitch. And Jen says, the other Jen can accost me any day. It's wonderful. All right, let's get back to the outline here. I want to talk a little bit about voter outreach. When we were talking about the Young Turks earlier, I think this is kind of what I'm talking about. The Young Turks, they claim that they're doing like voter outreach, but all they're doing is they're reaching out to like Trump voters and trying to sell this idea like, hey, we're not crazy. They don't care. Trump voters don't actually, like, if they knew what we actually believed, they wouldn't think we were crazy. The problem with Trump voters is that their view of what we believe is just a lie. It's skewed. Everything they say in the chat that we believe, we don't believe that. They just have to turn it into, like they have to change the wording or change how it's positioned to make it look like we're crazy. And there's a new poll out from Harvard, the Harvard Youth Poll, and a lot of people are referencing this. Here is MSNBC talking about Democrats, and they're meeting now, and they're worried about voter bases where they're losing membership. And I'm just gonna say this, like, the problem with Democrats is they keep getting in rooms together and talking about shit instead of just going out and doing shit, going out and meeting the voters where they are. And they talk about voting blocks in terms of like their ethnicity or their race. What they're not doing is they're not going out and they're finding a message that works across the aisle, or not the aisle, across all demographics. They're not focused on any of that. So then when it comes to a general election against Trump, which should have been an incredibly easy election to win, just be like, hey, we're going to pay for healthcare and we're going to take money out of politics. And you win. You just win. Just do that. Those are the only two things. You can just run on that and you win. But instead of doing that, they're like, let me give you a nuanced, non-substantive approach to politics. And we're just going to say a bunch of generic shit so that you don't get mad at us. And it seems to me the Democratic Party's sole goal is to not have people get mad at them. And if you don't want people to get mad at you, then just focus on things people aren't going to get mad at, like paying for healthcare. Like people having equal rights, like getting money out of politics. Perhaps things like paid leave. Perhaps things like a living wage. Stuff that, everybody wants. Don't just like tiptoe around everything and try not to offend anybody, because then everybody's just going to view you as somebody who stands for nothing. Here's a good example of MSNBC like just not getting it.
The Democratic Party is still searching for a path forward. More than 6 months after President Trump swept the battleground states and won the 2024 election. A new piece from the New York Times analyzes the gradual split between the party and its traditional base, noting, quote, communities that Democrats had come to count on for a generation or more. Young people, black voters, Latinos, all veered toward the right in 2024, some of them sharply. But as the paper points out, even the attempts from the party to address these issues seem out of touch. Quote, Democratic donors and strategists have been gathering at luxury hotels to discuss how to win back working class voters, commissioning new projects that can read like anthropological studies of people from faraway places. The prospectus for one new $20 million effort obtained by the Times aims to reverse the erosion of Democratic support among young men, especially online.
If you need a plan on how to speak to young men, like maybe you haven't talked to young men. What's important to everybody? That people are going to have like a future, especially like if you're going to try to reach young men, like what's important to them? That they have a future, that they have job prospects, that they have healthcare, that they have upward mobility, that if they want to have a family, they can raise a family. If they want to be able to travel, that they can travel, that they won't be taken advantage of. This is the thing that drives me fucking nuts about politics. And the reason that these types of programs exist, like it's a $20 million effort. If we've learned anything from Unfuck America, it's that like however much of that, however much you invest, in this case 20 million, a big chunk of that money is going to go to the people who organize it. There are multimillionaires who are just organizers. That's all they do. And they're going to take, I think, up to 70% of that money. And very little of that money is going to go to accomplish the goals that they want. And who are these people? Nobody knows them. Nobody sees them. I just don't understand how like every election they fuck this up. The one thing you should learn from the Republicans is like having a plan doesn't really fucking matter. Nobody knew what Donald Trump's plan was. In fact, like when we told you what his plan was, you're like, that's not his plan, even though it was absolutely his plan. What matters is that your messaging gets across to people. And I mean, just call me crazy, but everything we've seen post-election is just like fuck up after fuck up after fuck up. I don't think Democrats know a winning hand when their hand win. Right now is a winning hand. Right now, you just pick things that literally everybody needs. You run on that, and you forget all this other shit. Like drop Israel, drop the AIPAC shit. Go talk about universal health care. Talk about fixing our broken asylum system. Talk about fixing our border laws. Talk about shit that people really care about, and have a decent solution for it. And you win in a landslide. But they don't get that.
It is codenamed SAM, short for Speaking with American Men, a strategic plan, and promises investments to study the syntax, language, and content that gains attention and virality in these spaces. It recommends buying advertisements in video games, among other things. And Jonathan, Sam, I can't help myself, but
Republicans saying that like nobody knew Kamala's plan. Like if you didn't know her plan, it's because you didn't read it. And it might also be because she's not an effective communicator. And it's also because you're lazy. Like you don't read plans. And so you wouldn't have read it anyways. But yeah, some of us knew what her plan was. And she didn't have a great plan. And it was low on specifics, but yeah, there was a plan.
I just can't help myself. But I think the investment needs to be in American men and in young men,
yes.
And in their value. I think somehow along the way, men got left behind. And especially in the way this party speaks, but also what it does. And men are really struggling, especially young men. In fact, there's a lot of young women that I talk to that there's no one to date out there. Are they all playing video? What are they doing? I'm not criticizing them.
Can we knock it off with the fucking video game things? Like, knock it off. It's fine. People play video games. My brother and his girlfriend, they play video games together all the time. That's how they met. It's okay. Let kids play video games.
They need help. They need support. They need to feel like they belong in this country and they have a real role.
As soon as they realized they could do an acronym of SAM, they should have thrown the whole thing out. This was just an ill-fated study, though some important lessons. And certainly the Democratic Party needs to be able to talk to all sorts of voters, including young men who we did see last year break towards President Trump in a way that was unexpected. They felt more comfortable in the politics of the right, the politics of, I don't know if I'd call it conservatism, but at least in MAGA world. So that is a real issue. And Mika, you, of course, raise even bigger societal concerns just about the fate of young men right now.
I also, sorry, ADHD's get me. Do any conservatives know what cope is? Holy copium. Dude, if you're confused, just ask somebody to help you understand what's going on right here. This isn't cope, you dumbass. Like, what are you talking about? You guys don't know what words mean. This is why we lose to these fucking idiots. We lose to these people. They don't even know what words mean. They can't convince anybody. What we ought to do is get conservative men and just give them a fucking microphone. Just go on the street and be like, are you conservative? Yeah. Are you a man? Yeah. All right. Just talk into this microphone for a little while. We could just do that and win. Just let conservatives talk openly.
Now in the year of 2025 in this country.
Jonathan, if I could, it's investing in them instead of advertising on video games. How about let's try and inspire them not to be on video games and be out in the world.
Yeah, we're so in touch. They're so in touch. Tell them, what if we just encourage them not to play video games? And do what? What do you want them to do? Why don't you go outside and play jacks? Okay. What do you want them to do? Video games are cool. Let them play video. How about stop beating them over the head by saying, like, don't play video games? You notice the Republicans dropped that shit? This is the flip that, like, younger voters noticed. The people that don't know what they're looking at. It's this shit. It's this kind of shit. You think they give a fuck what somebody on MSNBC says? And then when they do say it, they're like, all right, I'm not with them. Like, they want to ban my video games. That's what a 25-year-old hears right there. The 25-year-old sees that and they're like, whoa. They're going to ban our video games. She didn't say that, but that's what they hear. Stop. If you don't know what kids are doing, just don't talk about kids. If you don't know what younger people are doing, don't talk about them. But by God, like, a lot of these people who became streamers, I know Vosh did it. I think Destiny did it. I think Hassan did it. Like, a lot of these people who became prominent not spokespeople, but prominent figures for younger Americans got their start by gaming. And people started watching their channel because they were gaming. And then they talked about politics. And then suddenly these people who are gaming like know a little bit about Palestine. Instead of constantly barking at the younger generation and telling them, giving them all this knowledge, why don't you shut the fuck up and listen for a minute? And only talk about things that matter to everybody. Stop doing this shit. Why are we demonizing young people? If I'm 25 right now, I don't feel great about the future of this country. And if I'm 25 and I'm like, I want to make money. I just want to be successful. Honestly, like, where can you be rich? This isn't waking up to conservatism, Daniel. I left conservative. This isn't conservatism because you guys don't do anything for them either. You got your whole party all last week, and this is why you're going to lose in the midterms, and this is why you don't know what the fuck you're talking about either. All week 2 days ago, I played a clip of Republicans all over Fox News like, it's kids playing video games in their mom's basement. It's kids playing video games in their mom's basement. It's kids playing video games in their mom's basement. You guys are doing it too. The only difference is, like, I'll talk about it. You guys won't because you can't criticize your own side of the aisle. But, like, just let them do it. Listen to them. And then give them health care. Okay? Just give them health care. That'll be fine. They'll vote. That alone would vote. They'll vote on that. Tell a kid there's free health care. Because otherwise, what's their option? If you want to get wealthy in this country and you're 25 years old, you can go to years of school with an advanced degree, or you can be like a day trader or a crypto trader. And then you have all these scammers trying to take advantage of you. So what little money you have, you're going to go invest in crypto. You're going to lose that. And then everybody's going to be like, oh, yeah, well, I lost it first too. But eventually you just got to stick with it. And then like 10 years later, they've never made any money. They're not rich. But somebody got rich off of all of them, probably Trump, who's scamming crypto people. That's the real problem. The opportunity for young people to be successful in this country requires them to take jobs that nobody really wants to do. And jobs that, like, morally they're probably opposed to. That's the real problem we have.
World, connecting with people and working on themselves. And it's not their fault. I'm not criticizing, but this just sounds very surface, a very expensive effort to just barely address the surface of the problem.
Yeah. Could not agree more. There needs to be more focus paid to the root cause.
Or just start a business. It's very easy to start a business. Like 90-something% of businesses fail. Maybe we fix the fail rate of our businesses. You tell a kid, just start a business, kid. Okay, what percentage of them make it? About 8%. Fuck. Maybe I won't start a business.
Causes, not this right now.
Yeah.
So these are societal issues.
All right. I want to show you what the Harvard youth poll said. Look, this is important to for this reason. I think that a lot of us grew up when we were in our 20s. There were a lot of people who were giving us advice, and maybe we trusted them, maybe we didn't. I didn't. I never liked when people were like, "I have all this experience, so you have to listen to me." I don't think that experience is always like the best teacher, especially when you live in different generations. I think one of the biggest problems that our country has is that we're not planning for the future, and young people have a much clearer vision of what the future looks like, and for them, it's not good. It doesn't look like a place where things are going to go well, and that's what I think this Harvard youth poll. It's a 6-minute video. Let me read some comments real quick, but I want to go through just a couple takeaways from this video. Jen said, fuck Indiana. I post about this bullshit all the time in Discord. Todd Young just sponsored the Conscious Protection Act to further add to the bullshit. Great. Brad said, what did one cheek say to the other? What did one butt cheek say to the other butt cheek? Together we can stop this crap. I like that. Good use of non-curse words in there as well. Well done. All right.
This spring marks the 50th edition of the Harvard Youth Poll, and the results paint a picture of a generation under pressure. Since 2000, the Harvard Public Opinion Project has conducted the nation's largest and longest-running survey on the political attitudes of young Americans. Here's what we found in our latest edition of our nationwide poll. Take it away.
Young Americans are struggling. More than 4 in 10 say that they're barely getting by financially, and some groups are hit harder than others.
Half of young adults without college degrees report financial hardship, compared to just 29% of college grads.
Women and Hispanic youth
So what's the first thing you could do there? Make college affordable. How would you do that? Taxpayer subsidies. Get rid of these predatory student loans. Decouple these universities from like private equity and private business. You could do that first. You could make it affordable for kids to go to school. Right there, just these are simple things. 50% of kids with no college degree have limited or no financial security. 29% with a college degree say the same. Okay, well that's good data. What can we extrapolate from that data? That either one, there's only jobs for people with college grads, or two, I guess you could say there's not high-paying jobs for people without a college degree, or three, you could add trade school. But do you hear the Democrats talking about any of that? Republicans, for what it's worth, Republicans talk about that. Like, there's going to be people here in the chat that are like, yeah, trade school. You go out and be a plumber. You should go out and work construction. And they'll demonize young kids like nobody wants to work those jobs. Maybe not. But they say that and then they do nothing about it. Then they just give tax handouts to billionaires. So if you went in with an actual plan and you're like, look, we're going to help your jobs. You have better paying jobs, whether you go to college or not. And we're going to do that by taxing people appropriately. And then that money will be forced into your hands. Billionaires won't just be able to keep all of the money. And as a reminder, all the money that these companies get, they're coming off of the backs of your labor anyways. We have to remind Americans, and specifically young people, that the money isn't yours. Like, the money is there to circulate, and your labor is valuable, and your labor should be protected, and you should have the ability to collectively bargain or bargain on your own for your labor. You should own it. It's yours. It's wild in this country, like, oh, we love freedom except for labor. Labor is not yours. Everything else is yours. Well, not your uterus and not labor. Labor is theirs, and the uterus is for Jesus. Everything else, freedom. We could spread that message a little bit more. You could get widespread support for billionaires to be taxed more. And by the way, all those billionaires are bitches anyways. Elon Musk just quit yesterday. I'm not doing this anymore. People are being mean to me. They don't want this kind of blowback. They can't deal with this kind of blowback. Put a little pressure on them. And then you allow the billionaires, once they support it, to look like the good guys. You give them an out. Who cares if they're not the good guys, right? You give them an out. Suddenly you might have, look how quickly Zuckerberg folded to Trump. Why? Because they put pressure on him. And Zuckerberg didn't like that his buddies at the UFC gym were like, how come you're censoring the N-word? He's like, oh, I don't know. I guess I'll change everything overnight and move everything to Texas. These guys are all pushovers. They're all cowards. We just have to apply the pressure correctly.
Grads.
Women and Hispanic youth are especially affected. Nearly half say they're struggling or getting by with limited financial security.
Overall, only 16% of 18 through 29-year-olds say they're doing well or very well financially.
Oof. Today, less than half of young Americans feel a sense of community, and just 17% say they're deeply connected to one.
Fewer small town or rural residents report feeling connected to their communities than urban or suburban residents.
And those not affiliated with a political party reported much lower rates of community belonging than those who are.
Why does it matter? Young Americans who don't belong to a community feel disconnected from politics and are struggling with their mental health.
This disconnect is...
Now, here's a part where I think we have to get better on our side of the aisle. Again, I'm going to say this with love, because there are people who are creators that I respect, I enjoy, and I like. And I've mentioned some of them. I don't want to name them by name because they're not here. But there are people who, specifically on our side of the aisle, because I don't really hang out on the other side of the aisle, but like this idea that like you could never come back. Like, you make a mistake, you can never come back from it. You say one thing out of line, or you have a bad moment, you can never come back from it, and you're ostracized from the community. Our side of the aisle needs to do a much better job of allowing people to make fucking mistakes and allow people to learn. We can't. We're very quick to say, you don't share my beliefs, so fuck you. You're evil. I had a really good experience with somebody recently, just about an issue where we completely disagree on a political issue. but I care about the person. And so like, I'm not going to like, this isn't going to be like a deal breaker for me, but it was hard because it was something I believed in deeply. And that person just went and did their research and they came to a conclusion on their own where like we're on the same page now. But if I would have just said, fuck you, that's a deal breaker, like we can't be friends anymore, that person likely never would have even questioned their beliefs. They never would have thought that. But if you can be compassionate and if you can show a little bit of love to somebody who makes a mistake, they come to their own conclusion. People just need to feel welcome. They need to feel safe to be able to draw these conclusions. I think I've told you guys about my cousin before. I don't know if she watches this. Her name's Lindsay, and she's like, I mean, she's lib, like, and she's always been lib. But we grew up in a very conservative family. Her parents are conservative, and my family didn't say nice things about her. Like our extended family didn't say nice things about her because she was a liberal, and I was a conservative. And I think at the time she was more active on social media. And she was having fights, and our family members would like go after her on social media for her liberal beliefs. And I argued with her too, but the one thing she always did is she just like kept talking to me. And we hadn't talked for years after that. It wasn't Admir, by the way. It wasn't Admir that I'm talking about. It's not somebody you guys know. But I hadn't talked to her for years. And every time throughout my I guess like going through therapy, deconstruction, changing my political beliefs, I thought about her every single time. And I finally, like, I just told her, I reached out a couple months ago and I was just like, hey, I know we haven't talked for a long time. I just want you to know that you like providing a space for me to have those conversations like changed my life. And you did help me see things from a different perspective because you didn't just quit. You didn't just call me a racist and kick me the fuck out. We had a real discussion. And at that time, it wasn't even racism. It was about gay marriage. And at the time, I was a Republican. I was making the argument that, like, I don't care if gay people get married. Just don't call it marriage because marriage is between a man and a woman. Those were the arguments we were having. That's the side of the argument that I was on. That it's okay. I don't care. But don't throw it in our face. Don't do the parades. Don't call it marriage. If you guys want to sign a contract, do it. But go down to the courthouse and just sign the contract. And she wasn't just like, fuck you, you stupid bigot. You're dead to me. She just kept talking to me. And she just kept like caring about me. And when I reached out to her, like I said, like a month ago, I said that, and she had never told me any of this, but she said, look, I just knew. Like I know you have good intentions. I know you wanted to get to the right answer, and I'm not surprised that you've changed your mind. But just get there, like hold that space. And we're all guilty of this. I'm not trying to preach here. I'm not. There's people that like, especially online, that we've thrown out of lives and that we never forgive. It's hard to go into a left-leaning live right now and not have somebody that everybody believes is canceled forever. I think some people, like maybe Jones is probably a good example of somebody who doesn't need to be platformed anymore. But some of these people that don't get platformed, it's like, what the fuck? Like, you guys are holding grudges for the craziest things. For like the smallest things, for the slip, we all have bad moments. We all get angry. And you go into a political live where people are screaming at each other and they get angry. And then somebody says something fucked up that they didn't really mean, but they said it in the moment. And that's like a forever cancelable offense. And I resonate with that. I have a brother who he hangs out, he's a gamer. Same brother I was talking about. He hangs out in online communities, and all of his friends, like they're like alt-righters, kind of. And that's the community he runs in. But when he and I have a conversation, I don't say, fuck you, all your friends are Nazis. We just talk about the individual issues. And then I never tell him what to believe. And he's curious, so he goes and checks on his own. And then those beliefs evolve. And I think that's what we're so fucking bad at here. The virtue signaling part, the criticism of people on the left and virtue signaling, that's a correct criticism. That's a fair criticism. And it also sets you up for failure for when you ultimately fail, when you ultimately like fuck something up, when you ultimately say something wrong. And this idea that people aren't allowed to say, I'm sorry, I was heated, or I'm sorry, I didn't think about it, or I'm sorry, I didn't know that was offensive, not creating a space for that or not creating a space that at least appears like it's safe for that, and demanding accountability for every fucking little thing that anybody does, that drives younger people away because, like they're saying in this Harvard study, they're just looking for a community. They just want friends. They want something to be part of. Conservatives, their attempt to go after younger people, they're talking about things like Christianity. They're talking about things like a unified culture. They're talking about things like assimilation, and we all know who they're targeting for that, right? But that's the messaging they're working. They're looking at these kids and they're like, hey, we'll build a community for you. Come on into Turning Point USA. We'll give you a hat. And by the way, you can kind of be an asshole. You can talk shit. For a conservative young man who comes from conservative parents, it's almost like they get to be conservative and be rebellious because they're not their parents' conservatives where everything's proper. They're the conservatives that like drop slurs and they curse at people and they talk shit, but they're still conservative. So they get to rebel against their parents and find a community, and then we're left with being baffled. Like, how the fuck did all these people wind up following Charlie Kirk? Because he gave them something. He gave them a community. We can't even get our community right. Like, we tried on Fuck America. We blew up the whole TikTok community. It's dead. Everybody fucking hates each other on TikTok now. And it used to be like a fairly cohesive community. There wasn't a lot of like contention there, but now it's dead because of one thing. And again, it started off as something like relatively minor that people weren't willing to own up to, or people weren't willing to apologize for. And then when you don't apologize, then people take sides, and now it's it's super divided. I'm just saying, if we're really talking, if this is about like moving the country forward, winning elections, getting progressive policies in place, then we're doing it wrong. If this is about virtue signaling and like having a hierarchy of virtue, then we're doing it right. But if the goal for any of you is to make our country a better place, the way that we're going about this on our side of the aisle, it's not working.
More than just political, it's social and emotional too. 5 years after the COVID-19 pandemic, 1 in 3 young Americans report that the pandemic had a lasting negative impact on their social life.
Notably, that impact is close.
Sorry, get that comment. Purple Kitty said, the secret of freedom lies in educating people, whereas the secret of tyranny is keeping them ignorant. I love that. That's Maximilian Robespierre. Keep educating, brother. We love it. Thank you very much.
Correlated with mental health. Those who became isolated are more likely to suffer from depression than those whose friendships remained intact during the pandemic.
Even among those who say they formed meaningful online friendships during the pandemic, the results remain troubling. 27% show signs of moderately severe or severe depression.
This social isolation comes alongside a generational shift away from traditional family structures. Only about half of young Americans say having kids is important, the lowest ranked life goal we asked about. But there's a clear partisan divide here. Nearly 7 in 10 young Republicans value parenthood, compared to just 4 in 10 Democrats and independents.
Republicans are also more confident than Democrats in their ability to achieve these goals, from home ownership to marriage. And while financial stability remains a top goal for Gen Z, only 56% think they'll be able to achieve it.
Women are more confident than men about finding a partner and getting married, and are also more likely to say agreeing on politics is important in a relationship.
Young Americans are dissatisfied with U.S.
I think that's important. I really do think that that's important, is that agreeing on politics isn't important. Agreeing on things that are important is what's important, right? Like if I have a disagreement with someone I'm in a relationship with about like tax policy, you can overcome that. If it's about like treating people with respect and humanity, yeah, sure, that's fair. But make sure you know what the agreement is about. Make sure the disagreement wasn't just that you don't like somebody because of who they voted for, and they don't even really know why they voted that person. And you've just decided that one act of them voting for somebody disqualifies them forever. I think that's a silly way to handle your business, and it's ineffective. Fax, our good friend Fax said, Fax Still Matters, said, go buy a roll of quarters for the arcade. Betsy says, have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Betsy, very much for that. We'll keep going.
Politics and institutions. Only 15% think the country is headed in the right direction, and only 1 in 5 young Americans trust the federal government to do the right thing most of the time.
31% of 18 to 29-year-olds approve of President Trump's job performance.
And approval of both parties in Congress is even lower. Just 29% approve of congressional Republicans, and 23% approve of congressional Democrats.
The lack of confidence in leadership is part of a deeper skepticism about who exactly holds power. The majority of young Americans believe that elites serve themselves over the public interest. Interestingly enough,
That's the miss. That's the swing and the miss for our side of the aisle right now, is we did not distance ourselves from the elites. Donald Trump is an elite. The people around him were elites, and we didn't distance ourselves enough from that. The big mistake Kamala Harris made was bending to big corporations, to bringing in Wall Street, meeting with Jamie Dimon, meeting with the crypto people, meeting with billionaire tech oligarchs. Like the big mistake was not saying, hey, we're not part of the, like, we're the party of the people. Somehow the party of the people, the ones who really fundamental, like, if you ask them, like, are you the party of the people? Republicans overwhelmingly are going to say yes. Democrats are going to say no. Like, we're not very happy with our party. And Republicans somehow got just because of messaging. They're not the party of the people. Clearly, they're not the party of the people. Clearly, they're the party of the elite. Clearly, they're the party who are just like openly being bribed by elites. Clearly, they're not doing any legislation for everyday Americans. But the messaging was better than our messaging on that. And so we lost. This would have been an easy one. Swear, like, honestly, just fucking run Bernie Sanders. Just run it, or somebody like Bernie Sanders on that platform, and you'll win. But Democrats don't want to admit that. I'm going to get to some shitty Democrats here in a minute, but we got to purge ourselves of the elitist attitude.
this sentiment is strongest among the wealthy, the higher educated, and Democrats, all more likely to be elites themselves.
We asked about 8 key elements of President Trump's agenda, from tariffs and DOGE to abolishing the Department of Education. By and large, these policies are not popular among Gen Z, though many young Americans don't seem to have an opinion either way.
The policy with the highest amount of support amongst young Americans is the creation of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, but still more young Americans oppose it than support it.
And as tariffs take center stage, just 1 in 5 young Americans support them.
Democrats are united in opposition against the policies we asked about. However, a large portion of young Republicans are uncertain about these policies.
At the same time, the number of young Americans who believe there's a crisis at the southern border has dropped to 42%, 11 points down from last spring, with the sharpest drop coming from young Democrats.
Looking at foreign policy, support for U.S.
Can I clear that up? I kind of agree with that. Somebody said moderate Democrats are a threat too right now. Sort of. I would agree with that, sort of. It depends on what they're moderate about. If they're moderate when it comes to Israel and they're like, you know, we're Zionist, yeah. If they're moderate in terms of like keeping the structure, like the financial structure in place now that we have, yeah, they're a problem. But if they're moderate, just like they're kind of indifferent on things and, you know, maybe they don't get involved in a bunch of social issues, but they're in agreement that we have to have real like foundational change in healthcare and in the financial industry, then yeah, I don't think those moderates are a problem.
Involvement abroad is low. A plurality of young Americans believe that the United States spends too much money on other countries, but this is primarily driven by young Republicans. For Democrats, it's to defend human rights and protect allies. For Republicans, it's to protect national security goals. But despite their emphasis on national security, Republicans are growing increasingly skeptical of our alliances. 6 years ago, it was Republicans over Democrats who prioritized alliances. But today, on almost every question we asked, it's Democrats, not Republicans, who support defending alliances.
Finally, we looked at young people's values and how they apply to political issues today. For example,
Tom, I see that question you're asking. Will you wait till after this video and then I know you're trying to get me to see it, and I'll answer that question. But will you wait till after this video and I'll give you my definition? I don't want to interrupt this video. So hold on to that. When this video is done, type it again. I'll try and remember to get to that.
more young Americans believe that DEI promotes fairness rather than believing it reduces fairness, though these views are mostly a function of partisanship.
Just 1 in 5 say they've been personally impacted, positively or negatively, by DEI initiatives. Most either haven't encountered them, aren't sure, or were unaffected.
Across party lines, young Americans describe individual rights and freedoms as defining American values, but agreement ends there. Young Democrats select diversity, democracy, and civic engagement as other key values, while Republicans select economic opportunity and Christian values.
Overall, 41% of 18 to 29-year-olds are proud to be American, with 29% feeling embarrassed and 26% are neither.
I would be interested. I didn't look, but those have got to be like historically low numbers. Like 41% of young Americans are proud to be American. I would say I'm not. I'm a little bit surprised by anybody right now who's proud of like even if you're like a MAGA Republican and you're happy that Trump is in office, are you really proud? Are you like our Congress? They all act like children. We can't pass anything. The whole nation, we all hate each other. We can't even decide like if Russia is the good guy or not. I don't think right now is a good time to be proud to be an American. You might be happy with that your party's in power, but I'm very surprised by people who right now say they're proud to be an American. And I would bet that if you asked most of that 41%, I think that's what they would probably say. Is that they're like, yeah, dude, I'm MAGA, baby, or like I love Trump, or like I love crypto. Maybe they feel like we're a crypto leader, but as a whole, we're not doing. The rest of the world is not trying to be us. The rest of the world is trying to distance themselves from us.
3/4 of young Republicans are proud to be American, compared to just 1/4 of young Democrats.
The 50th Harvard Youth Poll finds young Americans facing financial strain, political polarization, and extremely low levels of trust in government and institutions. But beneath that pessimism lies a generation that, despite the pressure, is committed to shaping a better future. For more, go to iop.harvard.edu or follow us on social media @HarvardIOP.
There we go. Just thought it was eye-opening, and I think we can do better. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Sorry for being a little preachy today. So that's bad. That's mine. Tom, your question about being a Zionist. I think that like originally Zionism was just saying like the Israelis should have like their own state. I think that like Zionism has become more of a movement. Like I would consider somebody like Charlie Kirk a Zionist. And the problematic Zionists that I am referring to today aren't people who just say like Jewish people should have their own state. Like it's all the other stuff. It's all the other stuff that comes after that. It's the justification of the murder of innocent men, women, and children. It's the dehumanization of the Palestinian people. It's when Charlie Kirk says, "If you ever touch us, we will destroy you." It's that. It's like this idea that somehow harms that are inflicted on you must be like a millionfold. And it's a bizarre thing that it's like mostly Christians who consider themselves Zionists when like Christianity is supposed to be turn the other cheek. And there is not an ounce of turn the other cheek in this modern day Zionist movement. So that's what I would consider a Zionist. Everybody can have their own definition if that's not what you think it is. But that when I talk about a Zionist, in my mind, that's what I'm talking about, is somebody who seems to hold very different standards for Israel than they hold for everybody else. And hashtag free Palestine forever. All right. This type of shit works. This is the kind of stuff that I think Democrats should really focus on. This is a letter. These young kids wrote a letter to Trump about their mother needing Medicaid, and I believe it was from the first Trump administration, and that now he's rereading it, but it still holds weight. And so now they've made Elizabeth Warren made an ad out of this, and this is the type of stuff that Americans need to be aware of. That like the cutting of Medicaid, cutting of Medicare, it has real world impacts, and everybody can find themselves in this position, either as a child or as a parent.
Dear President Trump.
And Republicans in Congress.
My name is...
So that's him, and then that's him later.
Lamberry.
And I'm 18 years old. 8 years ago, my senator, Elizabeth Warren, read a letter I wrote to you.
Yeah, look, when you say the Jewish faith isn't the Christian faith, yeah, I don't think most Zionists, the American Zionists, most Zionists aren't Jewish in America. Like the most prominent Zionist voices are people like Charlie Kirk, who are Christian. That's what I was getting at. I'm not saying that everybody who's a Zionist has to be Israeli or Jewish. I'm saying that the people who seem to have the loudest conversations about it are Christians, and their belief is supposed to be turned the other cheek. But when it comes to the state of Israel, they're like, fuck it. Fuck that turn the other cheek thing. Sorry, I'll finish on that. Let me start this over.
Dear President Trump.
And Republicans in Congress.
My name is Lamberry.
And I'm 18 years old. 8 years ago, my senator, Elizabeth Warren, read a letter I wrote to you about my mom on the Senate floor.
I don't know if President Trump ever read that letter, but I'm going to read it right now into the congressional record. Dear President Trump, My name is Liam Berry, and I am 10 years old.
My mother has been very ill.
My mother is still very ill. Thanks to Medicaid, my mom gets the care she needs and the medication she needs. If you cut Medicaid,
My mother will not be able to get the care she needs.
I can't believe I'm reading this letter 8 years later, still fighting for my mom to have health care. Cutting Medicaid will affect millions of American families just like mine, Republican and Democrat alike.
I know there are millions of kids in the same situation as me, so please think of them when you read this. Sincerely, Liam.
Mr. President, I get letters and emails every day from families begging me not to let Republicans in Congress tear up health care in this country. I'm still getting letters from people who are terrified that Donald Trump and the Republicans are going to tear away their health care. I talk a lot about righteous fights. This is a righteous fight. Back in 2017, we stopped them from ending health care for millions of people. We can do it again.
R.I.P. John McCain. That's the type of shit that matters. And I that's the type of shit that they should double down on. Our friend, African Knight, welcome. Said, first Bobby G and now Jones. Tough few weeks for you. Yeah. Yeah. It's been a tough couple weeks. I heard Bobby's back on TikTok. I heard he created a new account, and I hope that people continue to call out Bobby G, because that we need way less Bobby G. Hey, Jen.
He's like the human equivalent of medication resistant herpes, I think.
Jesus.
I mean, that's just kind of what he is. But anyway, so we've got
It's not nice.
about an hour
You
left.
bully.
You act like that's surprising.
It's not.
Like I don't say shit like this. Anyway, so we've got about an hour left of the show. Did you update is that the current number?
Yes.
All right. So we've got about an hour left to knock out this gift goal. This is our job. We do this each day, Monday through Friday from 9:30 to 1. To be able to keep doing this, we do need assistance from crowdfunding. So if you guys could help us out, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, all that good stuff, help go towards knocking down the remaining balance of that gift goal. So if you guys could make the, Jay not get yelled at as much later, I would greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
I mean, I'll probably yell at him for something else because, yeah.
Because I'll do something. Because I'll do something.
Yeah. Our texts are like siblings. It's you can imagine like a sibling like pushing someone out of their chair, doing dumb shit. That's what our
And
conversations are
Jen
like.
is the older sibling, just so we're clear on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, more mature, older, wise, all that. So, on Sunday we are premiering RTP's episode of Jubilee. If you guys want to watch it with us, you have to be a subscriber on any of the platforms. So Twitch, YouTube, TikTok. We're gonna do a subscriber only event on Sunday, and we'll stream that in there. So if you guys want to be a part of that, please subscribe. If you guys are opposition, Tom, I saw you in the comments. If you disagree or have an issue with RTP, he's not going to debate from the comments. DM me on Discord. My Discord username is the same as the Venmo. So Jen Dub1. DM me on Discord, and I can bring you up to talk to him in real time. But he's not going to debate from the comments. So also check out our link tree. We're on most social media platforms. The link tree in the bio, and we got merchandise. So yeah, there's all that. What's the saddest cheese?
I don't know.
Provolone.
Like because of a loan? Like the pro.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. There we go. A blue cheese. I thought it was blue cheese too. That's what I was thinking. That's better.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
Well done, daily consumer.
Here, I can. Yeah, it's whatever. Yeah. Bye.
Let's see it. Jesse said, "Did you agree with Kamala's stance on Israel with her speech at the DNC?" I don't remember specifically what her speech was at the DNC, but I think just like generally, no, I didn't agree with her stance on Israel. And the other question you asked was about Bobby G. I just want to clear this up. My problem with Bobby G has nothing to do with him trying to start shit with me. that was really fucking stupid. And he didn't. It was a weird thing. Like he literally held a live about me because he didn't like this other creator, and that other creator at one point made merch for me. And so he was like, "You're a grifter because I don't like this guy," and he made merch for you at one point. That was the whole. It was bizarre. And I've actually heard from his moderators since then that he just planned that. Like he couldn't get an audience for himself, and so he and his moderators would like find bigger creators to target, and then they would just like host lives about them in order to get an audience. And it all backfired because Bobby tried to do that to somebody else, and then he turned into like a borderline stalker, and he was saying really creepy things to another creator, and then he was like calling her job and filing fake police reports and tried to like drop the name of somebody who had abused her. He's just a sick, unwell human being. Honestly, my despise of Bobby G has almost nothing to do with what he tried to do to me, because it didn't hurt me at all. Everybody that saw that live was like, what is he talking about? Like nobody could even figure out really what he was accusing me of. He just wanted a bigger audience. So it's really just about the fact that he's a bad person. He's a dangerous person, and his mods have all confirmed that now at this point. So I just wanted to be clear on that Bobby G stuff there. Jennifer says, Jay's protection from Gen Fund, thank you. And Haley says, I got cheeks you could turn, flip, smack, etc. Thank you for that. It's good to have Haley back. It's been a minute, Haley. Thank you for that. Let me update this. Boom. All right, let's move on to. Actually, I want to give Piers Morgan some love. I'll go to that in a minute. Let's go to the tariffs. Federal judge struck down Trump's blanket tariffs, and I just wanted to show you. This was like a live reaction. So Senator Kennedy was on with Laura Ingraham. And you can see she'll put her finger to her ear. She gets breaking news in the middle of this interview. And I just thought it was funny to watch Kennedy in real time, like scramble. He doesn't know what the judges ruled. He doesn't know anything. He just scrambled very quickly to make sure that the Republicans were the victim and that judges are bad. And I just thought it was a good glimpse into MAGA. The knee-jerk reaction of all MAGA is no matter what happens, you claim victimhood. You just all of us, automatically you're a victim and everybody's against you. This man knows none of the details that he's about to be told, and he's already has decided that they're victims.
Senator, we just got breaking news. Senator,
ships.
Yeah, Senator, I'm so sorry to interrupt. We just got other breaking news. The big news tonight. A federal court just blocked the majority of Trump's tariffs. The Court of International Trade saying he overstepped his authority under an International Emergency Economic Powers Act. This was, I believe, the 3-judge panel. There was a Reagan appointee, a Trump appointee, and a Biden appointee.
Clearly biased against Trump. It's a very biased panel against Trump. It was a judge he appointed, a judge Ronald Reagan appointed, and a Biden appointed judge. So everybody, we already know that they're weaponized against him. And it's probably, even though that Trump has the executive branch and Republicans have Congress and the Supreme Court, everything's just weaponized against you always.
On this particular panel, this was kind of widely predicted among those who study trade closely. So those European tariffs blocked. Senator, your reaction?
You mean that a federal judge has intervened with the other two branches' ability to make policy? I'm shocked. That hasn't happened since yesterday.
Yeah. Judges keep having to intervene. Remember, we started at the beginning of the show? The Republicans are on both sides of this. At the beginning of the show, they're like, Joe Biden actually had the courts overrule him way more, so Trump isn't bad. And now, 2 hours later, they're like, it's not fair. They're always picking on Trump. They've literally taken both sides. Just like, no matter what happens, you're a fucking victim, MAGA. It's just victim complex, victim complex, victim complex. You mean that this is just another day of us getting picked on?
5 minutes ago.
And by the way, it's also their job. It's the job of the judicial branch to exercise their checks against the other branches of government.
It'll be appealed. I think it's pretty clear that the president has tariff authority. Congress gave it to him. Now you can debate whether that was a prudent move or not, but I think it's pretty clear that he has tariff authority.
Yeah.
And,
so this again,
I
this
think
was
it'll be reversed on appeal.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're going to go to the Supreme Court, Senator. It was a 3-judge panel, 2 Republican appointees on the court, 1 Biden appointee. And it was focused on the use of that IEPA statute, so that's where it was focused. But this is a long way out. This is gonna be challenging.
Well, sooner or later, the Supreme Court is going to have to address this. Those who oppose the executive branch and those who oppose.
So just so we're clear, so IEPA is the International Emergency Economic Powers Act. It allows the president to regulate economic transactions during a declared national emergency. And remember that the courts have kind of ruled, like, I don't know that we have a national like a national emergency. It has to relate to threats of national security, foreign policy, or the economy. So basically what the courts are saying is not what Kennedy's saying, not that the president and Congress can't issue tariffs. They're saying that their use of IEPA to add tariffs is unconstitutional. And again, Reagan, Trump, and Biden, 1 judge from each of them. This is clearly not biased judge.
Oppose the legislative branch and are seeking recourse in the courts are at some point going to dig up more snakes than they can kill because the judges are going to go ahead.
All right, Senator, I'm so sorry. We're up against a hard break.
Bye. Well, sooner or later, the judges, they're going to figure out that we were right. They're going to get it. All these people are against us. Here's Fox News Judge Andrew Napolitano. Like, the interesting thing about this reaction is, one, as Laura Ingraham said, it was kind of expected. Most people, the consensus was, yeah, like, you can't use IEPA in this way. Here's Judge Andrew Napolitano talking about what's next. And I use this clip because I think he's qualified to say what he thinks is going to happen next, being a former judge.
Judicial analyst.
Who does dig up snakes? That's a good question. It's got to be like a Louisiana thing.
Judge Andrew Napolitano, you warned us a couple of weeks ago, I think, on this show that this was coming and that the Trump administration was going to lose based on the reasons that the justices gave, or the judges.
This is a unique court. This is a court without a jury. It's a federal court that sits in panels of 3s. In this case, one of the 3 was appointed by Ronald Reagan, one by Barack Obama, one by Donald Trump. Their ruling, Mark.
I thought it was Biden. Was it Obama? I thought they said Biden.
Was nothing short of stunning and surprising. They found that the United States is not in an emergency situation with respect to the economy, as the president declared, and they found that the Congress doesn't have the authority to give the president the power to impose tariffs, and they found the statute on which the president relied doesn't even mention or authorize tariffs. So all the tariffs are negated. They gave the government 10 days to do the negation, because this is an enormously complex economic matter now, because the tariffs are paid and collected all around the world.
So here's, by the way, win for all of us. Like, no, again, if you're looking at Trump and these tariffs and the way that he issued these tariffs across Europe, nobody's been able to explain why these tariffs were put in place, how they were going to benefit us. This is the judges doing a great thing for us. No matter what party you're in, if you're anything other than like a Trump dick rider, this is a good thing. This is our courts doing their job. FOD said, love for Tebow and peers, making new friends. That's right. I'm reaching across the aisle to moderates, I guess. Daniel said balls. Thanks, Daniel.
Here's the question, though, then, because obviously the administration immediately appealed. You said there is a special appeals court that this kind of case would go to.
Correct.
Before it would get to the Supreme Court.
Correct.
But, I mean, who are these judges to say, I don't believe you in an emergency? Who declares an emergency if not the President of the United States?
Great question. The statute itself defines an emergency. So Congress said, here's what an emergency is: a sudden and unexpected event that adversely affects national security or economic prosperity.
Now, Foghorn Leghorn said that was going to be overturned, but like, what's this event? If this is going to be overturned on appeals, then the Trump administration is going to have to talk about this big event that gave them emergency powers. What's this big event? I'm going to make a prediction here because they're going to come out with an event. Any Republican, tell me what the event was. I bet it's going to be different than what the Trump administration says. And once they give you the answer, you're all going to come out here and repeat it, is what you do. But what's this big event? What's this big Trump's inauguration would qualify as an emergency? Yeah, maybe that's it. Court's overstepping bounds. No, they're doing their jobs, dude. You just have your head in Trump's asshole. Just pull it out for a second. His own judge is just turning against him. Yeah, I don't like that guy. I love countries taking advantage. Like, what was Europe doing to take advantage of us? Do we have an emergency yet? I'm waiting for an emergency. The Biden presidency. Well, he's not the president anymore, so that wouldn't be an emergency. West Point speech. What's this emergency? What's this big emergency that we're worried about? Lovely, whoever you are, I don't put anybody at timeout. Just saying, I don't even know how to do that. So whatever you said, you must. I don't know what you're complaining about. Sorry about your timeout. I hope things get better for you.
What did the president say the emergency was? The imbalance of trade. How long have we had an imbalance of trade? Since 1934. So it's obviously doesn't
big emergency.
meet the definition in the statute. I know a lot of our friends and a lot of people watching now are going to say, why are 3 unelected judges interfering with the ability of the president of the United States to negotiate economic deals for American industry?
Yeah. Why?
They're not. They're doing their job of making sure the Congress stays within the confines of the Constitution and the president stays within the confines of the Constitution.
This is devastating for the Newsmax viewers. Fuck. you got a former judge and a Republican loyalist. Like, guys, this is right. It's the right decision, and they're not overstepping their bounds.
So from a next step standpoint, because obviously the president's going to say and the administration is going to say we are in an economic emergency when you combine the trade deficit with China, using the results of that trade deficit to build its military, to expand its power base. But then you also have 18 countries right now, 180 some countries coming to want to do international foreign trade deals.
Correct.
And this hinders.
They were already doing international foreign trade deals. I don't know. Like, first of all, these are about UK tariffs. I don't know why he's bringing up China and all these countries that they're coming to the table. We already had deals with them. He just fucked up the deals by throwing random tariffs at them. It's a crazy thing. It's like, yeah, all my neighbors showed up at my house to talk to me today. I must be doing a good job. And every neighbor's like, why'd you throw that rock through my window? Can we talk about the rock that you threw in my window real quick? And I'm like, yeah, they worship me. I got them all eaten out of the palm of my hand. No, bitch. You put tariffs on them for no fucking reason. And now they're just calling like, hey, dude, you want to talk about this? And then he goes out and brags. They called. They said they want to talk about it. Yeah, what else would they do? What would be the other option? You could have just not done the tariffs. And we could have just continued trade. But again, it's like a perpetual victimhood complex. And this is where Democrats really need to figure out their goddamn messaging, because you got to make Republicans feel really fucking stupid about their victim complex. And by the way, Republicans, God bless you. I love you. You guys are not victims. Every bit of your pain is just like, people were mean to Trump, so I'm a victim. No, he's just a criminal. He's just kind of an asshole. People don't really like him. He doesn't seem to be very intelligent. He doesn't seem to know how economics work. Judges keep having to say, like, dude, you can't do that. And you guys have decided that you're victims because he's a victim. And that's the entire party. This is a good scenario for us. Both Laura Ingraham and Judge Neapolitano, or Neapolitan Ice Cream, are saying, yeah, this is the right call. And then Newsmax is like, well, but Trump really is great. He is really good, though. Okay. Well, we can't have a Newsmax segment without glazing him. So let me do my job real quick that I was hired to do, to glaze Donald Trump.
The president's ability to conduct foreign policy, which the Supreme Court hates.
Mark, if I may, this more than hinders it. This undermines it. I mean,
Cowboy says the pink and white combo is very lip bite fire, spicy pepper emoji. Thank you.
Why would Ursula von der Leyen, who runs the EU, even be negotiating with President Trump now? Because all those tariffs are off the board. Technically, they're still there for the next 10 days. But the administration, unless the appellate court immediately enjoins this International Court of Trade, which I don't think they'll do, the administration has 10 days in which to wind down the tariff. So I don't know.
He knows economics better than people think. No, he doesn't. He knows them worse than people think. He's a fucking idiot. I just was looking at his transcript this morning from Fordham where he had like a 1.8 GPA. And like his best grade was, I think his best grade was like something in economics. It was like a C minus. No, he's dumb. This is a dumb guy. You guys just think he's smart because he has money. But if you ever listen to anything he said and you'd be like, oh, he's just dumb. This is just a dumb guy.
Oh, you know, I'm not an economist. I don't know what happens with these negotiations that they're in the middle of. The president had a sword of Damocles hanging over the head of the people with whom he's negotiating. That sword is now gone.
So, okay, so you've said there's a special court of appeals this would go to, or do they go directly to the Supreme Court? This seems to be an emergency case where the Supreme Court might want to weigh in.
You could count on one hand the times that the Supreme Court has reached down to a trial court and taken a case and bypassed the intermediate appellate court. I don't think they'll do that. The appellate court is a circuit court of appeals for the federal circuit, meaning it hears appeals from these unique courts that only deal with governmental matters. And in this court, the defendant is always the government.
It's been amazing to see like the Republicans like, this will be overturned. You guys say that about everything, by the way. You also said that about Trump's conviction. And you probably think Trump's like felony conviction was overturned on appeal. It wasn't. The E. Jean Carroll decision wasn't overturned on appeal. And his tax fraud case also wasn't overturned on appeal. But none of you know that. In fact, almost nothing he ever does gets overturned on appeal because he's dumb and he's a criminal. Oh, and his lawyers are mostly dumb. He's like, Alina Habba, that's my choice. She's like, fuck. I forgot I chose pretty and not smart. This is going to be a problem.
This is the equivalent of a circuit court of appeals. It sits.
No, I don't think maybe. I'd have to dig to think of anything Trump's doing right now that I like. I can't think of anything specific. If you can give me some examples, I'll tell you if I like it or not. Off the top of my head, I know there was an executive order he did like 2 weeks ago, maybe last week, that I was like, I liked that executive order. Just off the top of my head, I can't remember what it was, though.
It's in Washington, D.C. I don't know how quickly they're going to rule.
Is it a liberal court or a...
I can't even tell you that. And honestly, these 3 judges that ruled last night, I didn't even know who they were until we did the research when all of this
and 2 were appointed by Republicans, and it was unanimous.
Yes, this is a court that is well below the radar. It only deals with these international economic matters, and 99% of what it does doesn't make the front pages. This one is top of the fold.
Information.
Someone just said an appeals court overturned it. I'm checking that. I see I see all the normal people tweeting this. I see it from Behizi tweets and Eric Dodery. I don't see a link on this. I just see some MAGA Twitter accounts. If they even had that appeal yet, I don't see. Does anybody know if that's true? I see Trump people tweeting about it. Charlie Kirk did. All right, here it is. Appeals court temporarily instates Trump's tariffs. Says in the above captioned cases, the United States Court of International Trade entered judgment against the United States and permanently enjoined certain executive orders imposing various tariffs. The United States moves to consolidate its appeals from those rulings and has applied for this court to stay the judgment and injunction pending these appeals and for an immediate administrative stay while the courts consider the motion. Upon okay, yeah. So it's just a stay. Yeah, they're saying that until this is adjudicated, the tariffs will remain in place. Okay, so no, it's not overturned. There's just a stay. It looks like. Why is everybody and all these Republicans? This is the problem you have. This is the problem that you guys fucking have with your party is you don't know. You just lie. They just lie all the time. Look at all these. U.S. appeal starts reinstates Trump's reinstated Trump's tariffs, and they all do it together. Tariffs are back on. Reinstates Trump's tariffs. Not reinstated. They've just issued a stay. That's it. Appeals court just halted federal judge ruling to halt Trump's tariffs. This is a massive win for America. Impeach all rogue judges. United States appeals court reinstates Trump's tariffs during appeal. Yeah, reinstates Trump's. Weird how they all have the same headline, right? U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit reinstates Trump's tariffs during appeals. U.S. Appeals Court just reinstated Donald Trump's tariffs. U.S. Appeals Court reinstates President Trump's tariffs during appeal. Bloomberg. Why do they all have the same headline? U.S. Appeals Court reinstates Trump's during appeal. Yeah. This is what they do to you guys. Like, they just lie to you guys all the time. There's been a stay. That's it. That's what happened. You'll all celebrate it. They'll talk about it like it's a win. It is a machine. I got to give you guys credit. You've got a machine. You've got a good machine. The Republican and older millennial will make a video about this in about 3 hours and pretend he came up with it himself, and it'll literally just be like him reading Charlie Kirk's tweet, pretending that he came up with it. Because if you don't know this about older millennial, all of his content is just stolen from people on Twitter, that he pretends that it was his. Jackie says, "Hey, homie, what's up, Jackie?" Amanda says, "Let's knock this goal out." Thank you very much. And go there. How much time do we have left? 28 minutes. Minus 5. We're close. We'll knock out that goal. Guys, for whatever's remaining, if we hit the dollar train the rest of the live, we'll get that knocked out in no time. Appreciate it. They all lie to us. That's what they always say. We don't care that we get lied to because everybody does this. Not everybody lies to you like MAGA. MAGA is unique in the way that they lie. They lie about literally everything, and it's coordinated, and it's on purpose, and it's from the top down. You've got a well-oiled machine. Who would I recommend for 2028? Right now, if you asked me who I would vote for, like just blind ballot, I can pick one person to be president in 2028. I would choose Pete Buttigieg. That would be my choice for 2028. And I don't think it's terribly close either. I think Pete Buttigieg is probably the most effective communicator of any politician in my life. I think he's a more effective communicator than Obama, and Obama was a great communicator. Whatever you want to say about Obama, he was really fucking good at what he did, and I think Pete Buttigieg might be better. He might not get the same type of excitement. Obama had like a little more riz, a little more swag, a little more personality, but Pete's a very effective communicator.
How many children have you killed?
Pierce. Oh, sorry. Let me preface this. So Pierce Morgan he and Tucker Carlson, I think they recognize where the wind is shifting, and it's no longer like socially acceptable in the masses to be like a Zionist or pro-Israel. So you're starting to see a shift from people like Tucker and Pierce, who consistently have their finger on the pulse of like where the middle ground is. They just want to be fence sitters. That's their whole goal. So when you start to see fence sitters like Pierce and Tucker saying like, I don't know about all this shit with Israel, you know that public perception is swayed. Now, I don't know. They add this music, so it's probably going to get tossed out of my live because they always do this, so you can't use their clips. But here's Pierce Morgan, and I don't know how to say that. Zipi Hatovli. She is the Israeli ambassador to the UK, and Piers Morgan is just going to ask her some tough questions about Israel, and she does not want to answer these questions. So I just want to give him his kudos for pressing somebody. Finally, after how many years? Piers is finally asking the tough questions of Israel, no longer just blaming everything on the Palestinians. And I absolutely believe that he's doing this not out of a principled stance, but because he is constantly looking for the middle. But either way, I like the outcome here.
How many children have you killed?
Pierce, Israel is not killing children.
Israel is killing children every single day.
Pierce, this is a blood label you're putting on Israel. You know it's not true.
What? No, it's not actually. And what you're trying to do is be very weaselly with your words.
No, I'm not.
The truth is, you are killing a lot of children. You are killing a lot of children on a daily basis. That is indisputable. So how many children have died in the process? Why don't you know that number too?
Pierce, please ask this question to the people that can give you the answer. I don't have the answer.
Who has the answer?
Please.
Wait a minute. She did have the answer. She just said that it wasn't happening. And then he's like, yeah, it is. And she's like, oh, okay, I don't have the answer anymore. She just said it wasn't happening. Slimy. That's slimy. He's right about what she's doing here.
Please don't ask me questions.
Who has the answer? Who has the answer?
I don't have the answer. And I will tell you something.
You're the Israeli ambassador to my country. Who else should I ask? I don't understand how you can know how many you've killed, but you don't know how many civilians you've killed. Why do you know one but not the other?
As I said again, I think that it's totally irrelevant.
Are you happy that people are going to watch you as an ambassador to your country say that it's irrelevant how many children have been killed?
That's great. Copperhead, it's good to see you back. Every day you come in here and you make the same dumb joke that whatever the gift goal is, you're like, that'll take a week. You make that joke every time. And you're wrong every time. And I just want to say to you, Copperhead, that I appreciate you. Because every time you say dumb shit like that, we hit the goal. Every fucking time. People, you got to mix it up, though. People are going to start thinking that I planted you here, just to make sure that we hit the goal, and that I have you in the chat, like, saying dumb shit just to get people mad enough, and that they're, like, giving gifts to get back at you. And I don't want to be accused of that. I just want to be on the record. I'm not controlling that account. I have nothing to do. In fact, it gets muted every day. Copperhead gets muted every day. I'm not controlling that. Nobody accused me of colluding with Copperhead to hit our gift goal every day. But Copperhead, I do appreciate you. You are an important part of us reaching our goals every single day. I didn't know about. Let me say that. Like, I don't keep up with a lot of the content creators who consistently talk about Palestine, just because I don't in general. Everything I know about Richie Torres comes from a handful of creators I know. I didn't know Richie Torres was who Richie Torres is. But if you don't know who he is, he's a Democratic congressman from the poorest district in New York. He is consistently one of the most obviously bought and paid for politicians that we have. And this is, I don't remember who this TikTok user is. I apologize. If anybody knows this TikTok user, drop it in the chat. I want to make sure they get credit. But this was evisceration of Richie Torres. Thanks, mountain bike fan. Appreciate it. Thanks. Great stream as always. Thanks for all you do. I appreciate that. Well, these are all coming in. Sorry, we'll have to wait for a second. Copperhead got things all fired. I got everybody all fired up. Give me 1 second. Brianna said roses are red, violets are blue. Stick that thing down my throat until my face is too. Jesus Christ. Jesus. Joan said falling for your Copperhead scam. Denise says choo choo. Rebecca says dollar trade. I don't know, Amber, if I read that, said let's knock this goal out. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Hey, howdy, thank you. And Jen Star said thank you, Copper, for being RTP's biggest fan.
OL, because of course, Richie Tel Aviv Torres is calling for Guy to be investigated by Capitol Police. Richie Tel Aviv Torres of trying to get Hassan banned from Twitch fame because he criticized the Israeli regime. He's one of the highest AIPAC recipients in all of Congress and a reliable foot soldier for the regime.
$1.4 million he's received from AIPAC. Devin says breaking U.S. appeals court reinstates the RTP Talks live dollar train. Spread the word. Thank you.
All he does is call for investigations and cancellations of pro-Palestine people and shill for the Israeli regime. Now, that would already be embarrassing enough considering that he's allegedly a representative for the United States of America, but it's actually even more embarrassing when you learn that he's the congressman of the literal poorest district in the country. And whenever he brings that up, he talks about it like he's proud of it. Oh, I'm Richie Torres. I represent the poorest district in the country. That's not a...
Does anybody know this creator's name? Did we get this creator's name? The cowboy said, Copper, look what you made me do. Does anybody know who this is? Did we get that? TikTok probably knows. I'm pretty sure the girl speaking is cheese fries. They use they them. Okay, sorry. Cheese fries, is that right? Maybe. I think so. Okay, thanks, Kayla.
Good thing. You're clearly not doing your job. You've been in office since 2020 and you're still representing the poorest district in the country. That's nothing to be proud of. You're a failure. On top of that, he doesn't do anything for this. I'm not even exaggerating when I say go to his Twitter.
A lot of people are saying Blakely. Okay. Dreamliner said, here's my 200 copperheads. Thank you.
And you will be hard-pressed to find him ever talking about his own district. Go look for interviews. You won't be able to find anywhere he's talking about his own fucking district. All he does is talk about the Israeli regime. Advocate for them and for the cancellation of pro-Palestine anti-genocide people. Here he is calling Kalani, who's a total queen, anti-Semitic. Because of course he is. Because he's a fucking hack. Because he's a smear merchant. Because he's a liar. He was the leading voice on getting the free Pride concert canceled this summer in Central Park because Kalani called out the genocide and have been advocating for Palestinian human rights.
I'm gonna be honest, I do not know who that is. I have no clue who that is. Kayla said, I was right, sent the profile. It's I am Blakely, Blakely. I am Blakely. Thank you.
Shout out to Here's Why Kevin on Instagram for this graphic. Do you guys
She's a
remember when he
singer?
first got elected and everybody just wanted to talk about how great it was that he was the first? He was the first out gay Afro-Latino member of Congress who's now using his time to try to cancel black women performing at a pride parade. Was this what he meant when he talked about intersectionality? Don't mess with Richie Tel Aviv Torres. He is a black Latino gay and here to slay Palestinians. Question, why aren't you ready?
Jesus Christ. That was solid. I am Blakely. That was solid.
Registered as a foreign agent. This guy literally voted to sanction the ICC because they put out arrest warrants for Netanyahu and Yoav Galan, war criminals. And instead of wanting to hold the actual war criminals committing the genocide accountable, he votes to sanction the court. I am literally begging the good people of New York 15 to vote his ass out. What? You're not going to miss him. He doesn't do anything. Not for this country, at least. Hang in there, guy. You're in good company having, on the Democratic side at least, the literal worst sellout traitor in Congress going after you through the Zionist propaganda rag and Mossad op, the New York Post. A garbage outlet that does nothing but propaganda on behalf of the Israeli regime.
All right, so who's this dude with the curly hair? Who's that? Amy said tariffs temporarily back on, appeals court lifted. Yeah, we just covered that a couple minutes ago. Amy, appreciate that. Who is this person? America literally lost $267 million ships in the Red Sea in a month. Yeah. Does anybody know who this person is? I have no idea who that is. Your favorite guy? Thanks, Wink. Your favorite guy. And I assume who was your favorite guy supporting? They were supporting, they said terrorists. Are we talking about the person who committed the violence with those two Israeli diplomats? Is he? I mean, I wouldn't advocate for support of that either. But it is interesting to say, like, you now have to probe this person. Like, if you don't like what we have to say, it's freedom of speech, right? It's not great for us on our side. Richie Torres sounding a lot like a Republican right now. Investigate everybody who thinks differently than me.
Regime while trashing American citizens and our interests. Girl, bye.
Brett says, for future brother husband Copperhead. Thank you. Welcome to the brother husband crew, Copperhead. It's great to have you. Really good to have you. All right, well, I just like that. Fuck Richie Torres, I guess. This is let me pull this. This is from Drop Site News. One of the news stories that's gaining traction right now, and Israel is scrambling to run interference here, is Israel's trying to pretend that the reason that aid hasn't been getting to the Palestinians has been because of Hamas, and they are trying to blame everybody but themselves. And now they've created like this new little coalition that has no idea what they're doing. Yesterday was an absolute nightmare as they try to distribute aid. Rather than letting like the UN do their job, they're just like, well, we'll do it on our own terms. This is, I'm trying to remember her name. This is Lindsay Hilsum from Channel 4 News. Explaining the situation.
Now is that a tiny amount is going through. They need 500-600 trucks a day. And at the moment, they're lucky to get, not even 100. I think none are going in today. And the Israelis have decided that the well-worn system of the UN distributing aid, which on the whole is not looted by Hamas. In fact, Hamas are the people who frequently stop the looting because they put guards on the trucks, because otherwise people are so desperate they send out the young men in the family just to get whatever they can. But the Israelis and the Americans have started this new Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which is supposed to be doing aid. It has no experience in doing aid. It knows nothing about it. They are security people. They have developed a system which was of biometric, facial recognition and so on. They started yesterday. And what is the result? Riots, desperation. And then they start shooting. And lots of people were injured. It was complete chaos. But they will not let the UN, which does know what it's doing, distribute the food. So what is the result of that? The result is more hungry children and probably more dead children.
Thank you. There's this thing with the Trump administration, like they've made enemies out of so many people that even when there's organizations like the UN who have historically provided aid, they know what they're doing. It's more streamlined. There's experience there. Because Trump has had to say like, oh, these are they're the bad guys. They just undo every working program and then try and remake it themselves. And what we find out is they're not very capable of doing that. So when they roll out these new programs, nobody should be surprised when they fail. But in this isn't like a new, a new customer service department in the federal government. This is the difference between life and death. This is giving aid to people who are starving. And they're like, it was working, but maybe let's try it a different way. And that way the UN doesn't get any credit for this and we get the credit. I can only imagine that's why they do this. Jose said, I just use my Amazon Prime subscription to subscribe on Twitch. Thank you, Jose. And that's a good reminder for everybody. If you have Amazon Prime, you can use your monthly free subscription to subscribe on Twitch, and you can watch all of this commercial free. Wayne said, Dollar Train, fuck Jones, fuck Tex, fuck ignorant bigots, and 8647, love you, Jay, and Jen is so awesome and the best. She's all right. 37 minutes. 23 minutes. I'm just going to drop this in the chat. We'll watch let's see. I need to get to this. Number 4, Jen, or whoever's, it looks like Hoofy's doing the chat. I think this is 10 minutes long. We're not going to have time to cover it today. But this is, remember the name here. Dr. Sidwa. I'm just going to play the first couple minutes, and then I just encourage you guys to watch the rest of it. But this is Dr. Sidwa. He's from California. He's a doctor that's been volunteering his time over in Palestine and just testified in front of the United Nations, I believe, yesterday.
I now give the floor to Dr. Feroz Shidwa. Please.
Shidwa.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Council. My name is Dr. Feroz Sidwa. I am an American trauma and critical care
Bean said, thanks for reporting on Palestine. Thank you, Bean. Appreciate it.
Surgeon based in Stockton, California. I come before you today to speak about the Gaza Strip, where I have volunteered twice since October 7th. First at European Hospital from March 25th to April 8th of last year, and most recently at Nasser Medical Complex from March 6th to April 1st of 2025. Both are in the city of Khan Yunis. I'm not here as a policymaker or a politician. I'm a physician bearing witness to the deliberate destruction of a healthcare system, the targeting of my own colleagues, and the erasure of a people. The Constitution of the World Health Organization states that the health of all peoples is fundamental to the attainment of peace and security and is dependent on the fullest cooperation of individuals and states. I've taken this to heart, and it is the reason I volunteer in conflict zones from Haiti to Ukraine to Gaza. In Gaza, I operated in hospitals without sterility, electricity, or anesthetics.
Not important, right?
Surgeries took place on crowded and filthy floors. Children died not because their injuries were unsurvivable, but because we lacked blood, antibiotics, and the most basic supplies that are readily available in any large hospital anywhere else in the world. I did not see or treat a single combatant during my 5 weeks in Gaza.
That's alarming. That the person that was speaking to the UK ambassador or the Israeli ambassador to the UK that was speaking with Piers Morgan said, like, "Oh yeah, it's not children." They're always saying like it's Hamas, right? It's always, oh, Hamas uses people as human shields. Didn't treat a single combatant. Not one. Not one single combatant. That's insane.
The patients were 6-year-olds with shrapnels in their heart and bullets in their brains, and pregnant women whose pelvises had been obliterated and their fetuses cut in two while still in the womb. Mothers sheltering in the hospital cooked bread on hot plates in the emergency department during mass casualty events as we dealt with the rain of fire and death falling around us everywhere. Mr. President, the foundations of life in Gaza, family, health, and community, have been shattered. The medical system has not failed. It has been systematically dismantled through a sustained military campaign that has willfully violated international humanitarian law. Civilians are now dying not just from the constant airstrikes, but from acute malnutrition, sepsis, exposure, and despair.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Trigger warning. I appreciate that, Ali. I should have said that. There's going to be some horrific stuff said here, so be aware of that.
Between my 2 visits to Gaza, I witnessed a sharp decline in patients' health, driven not just by injury, but by worsening hunger and malnutrition that left their bodies weaker, their wounds slower to heal, and their survival far less certain. And let's not forget, this is a man-made catastrophe. It is entirely preventable. Participating in it or not, allowing it to happen is a choice. This is a deliberate denial of conditions necessary for life: food, shelter, water, and medicine. Preventing genocide means refusing to normalize these atrocities. It means refusing to dehumanize the Palestinians, to refuse to see them as calories counted or numbers of trucks moved. We see now that this way of thinking has brought about a human dignity crisis with an entire people on the edge of survival.
Thank you, African Knights and Copper. Trump confuses $1.98 GPA with, or 1.98 GPA with 1.98 gas prices.
On March 18th, the ceasefire was violated by Israel. That day, I witnessed the most extreme mass casualty event of my career at Nasser Medical Complex. 221 trauma patients arrived in one morning. 90 were dead on arrival. Nearly half were severely injured children. No health system on earth could cope with this, least of all one that is besieged and starved of supplies. Hospitals are meant to be sanctuaries. Healthcare workers and first responders are supposed to be protected. Children are supposed to be protected. In Gaza, these protections are simply gone. Every day, the distinction between combatant and civilian is erased. Most of my patients were preteen children, their bodies shattered by explosives and torn by flying metal. Many died. Those who lived often awoke to find their entire families gone. Last year, I published in the New York Times a survey of 65 American healthcare workers who had served in Gaza. 83% of them reported seeing children shot in the head or the chest. I personally treated 13 such cases in my 2 weeks at European Hospital. According to the War Child Alliance, nearly half of Gaza's children are suicidal. They ask, why didn't I die with my sister, my mother, my father? Not out of extremism, but out of unbearable grief. I wonder if any member of this council has ever met a 5-year-old child who no longer wants to live, let alone imagined a society in which so many young children feel this way. And what astonishes me is not that some children in Gaza have lost the will to live, but that any still cling to hope. My Palestinian friends, mostly healthcare workers, no longer speak of resilience or even survival.
Thanks, Tony.
Parents memorize their children's clothing in case they must identify their remains later. They pray for one piece of bread to give them before they sleep so that their children might die less hungry if they are killed at night. And meanwhile, my Israeli and American friends express horror at what is being done in their names. Many of us cannot understand how our governments continue to arm this senseless destruction. But you in this chamber have the power to stop it. Mr. President, I am here because I have witnessed what is happening in Gaza with my own eyes, especially to children, and I cannot pretend not to have seen it. You too cannot claim ignorance. I urge the Council, and especially my own government, to act with urgency on these enforceable measures. 1, demand an immediate and permanent ceasefire, including a halt to all arms transfers to all parties to the conflict, alongside targeted and lawful sanctions on Israel. 2, demand the reopening of all of Gaza's crossings and guarantee unrestricted medical evacuations, including to hospitals in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, where Palestinian patients can be treated by Palestinian doctors, with safe return to Gaza assured. 3, guarantee sustained humanitarian access throughout Gaza, allowing all essential supplies, shelter, food, water, fuel, and medical supplies to reach all people in need. 4, strongly and explicitly reject the weaponization and politicization of aid embodied by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, whose executive director, a veteran of the U.S. Marine Corps, publicly resigned on Sunday, citing the foundation's lack of adherence to humanitarian principles. We must affirm support for existing UN mechanisms, back UNRWA, and ensure NGOs with expertise in reaching and providing specialized care to those in need have unimpeded full access. 5, the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages. 6, the immediate and unconditional release of all healthcare workers, including Dr. Hussam Abu Sufia, now held in Israeli detention for more than 150 days. And 7, without delay, uphold the UN Charter and act now to prevent genocide. One day, Gaza survivors may have a record of the empty promises made by the members of this council as their wounds deepened and their lives were lost. If this council remains silent and fails to act now, that record will stand as a testament to a global failure to provide urgent care and to the collapse of our collective conscience. I'm pleading with you to do what you were entrusted to do, to protect international peace and security, and to prevent irreversible harm. The steps I mentioned are the very least that is needed. I'm asking my own government's representative to hear the voices of the majority of Americans who are calling for the same. If this continues, there will be no Palestinian doctors left, no one to care for the sick and wounded. There will be no Palestinians left to rebuild the healthcare system. We are losing a generation before our eyes, condemning people to die of hunger, disease, and despair, deaths that could be easily prevented. Thank you.
There's right and wrong in this. There is right and wrong in this conflict, and wrong is anybody who's taking innocent people's lives. And I don't care. I don't care what side of the conflict you're on there. And right is those who are speaking openly for those who are losing their lives unjustifiably. I have a 5-year-old. I have a 5-year-old daughter. It would break my heart if my daughter went to bed hungry one night. Just one night if I couldn't provide a meal for my daughter. One night. That would break my heart. Like, that would crush me. And it's every night. And then what do they get? What do they get in return? Like, they wake up the next day and another shelling. And they wake up the next day and it's another hospital that's been destroyed. And they wake up the next day and the ambulances that were coming in to provide medical aid and food were taken out by the Israeli army. And then the Israeli army just lied about it. They said, oh, yeah, they didn't have their lights on and they weren't responding. And then we find the video where their lights were on and they were responding, and they killed them and put them in shallow graves. Legitimately, fuck anybody who is pro-Israel. Fuck the guy in the chat earlier who was like, I'm with the IDF. Well, fuck you. Legitimately, just fuck you. How do you get to be that person? How do you become a person who is so numb to atrocity that you can watch what's happening in Palestine and say, oh, I'm with the IDF, I'm with Israel. Oh, October 7th was bad. Oh, they should have thought about this. No, don't kill children. Don't kill innocent people. Don't starve people to death. That's basic human decency. And you guys have the audacity to come in here and be like, I'm pro-Israel. I'm pro go fuck yourself forever. History will remember you as scum. History will remember you as criminals. And you'll lie about it because you're bitches. You'll all lie about it. If you're still around 30 years from now, you'll pretend that you didn't support this. And thank God for the internet, and I hope the people are screen capturing everything. The internet lives forever, and I hope your shame does too. What kind of fucking person could watch an atrocity like this happen and then just be like, well, this is the way it is? I'd take a long, hard look in the mirror to anybody today who's like, I stand with Israel. That's fucking insane. That's just a severe lack of human decency, of humanity, of empathy, of sympathy. Like, maybe we underestimated the amount of sociopaths that exist in the world, but the people that still have the IDF shit in their profiles, and the people that are, I'm a proud Zionist, I stand with Israel. I guess there were more of you than we knew. And I guess that we've got more to watch out for. That's devastating. To hear a doctor begging, by the way, begging the UN to stop killing or stop the killing of children. Begging. And the delegation from the United States sits there and goes, "Oh, you guys don't understand what you're looking at. You don't understand. This is just the cost of war." And Trump's like, yeah, I'm not going to do anything about this. And all you losers show up every single day and you say the same crazy shit every day. I get real sick of that. Like, we can deal with you Trump supporters supporting like a fucking idiot. We're used to that. But good Lord, you guys supporting Israel? Amy said, most of us are pro people of Israel and Palestinian people. IDF and Hamas are terrorists. Yeah. And it's crazy that that's even hard to say. And I agree that there's some people on the opposite side of this who are like, I stand with, I would say the same thing of anybody who's like, I stand with Hamas. Do I understand how people get radicalized and become members of Hamas? Yeah. Same way I understood that the way that people get radicalized and became members of Al-Qaeda. You know, when you see your family murdered in front of you, yeah, it'd probably be pretty easy to hate the people who murdered your family and want revenge. I can understand that. Is it still evil? Yeah, it's still evil. Just because you're angry doesn't mean that what you're doing isn't evil. Just because if you're an Israeli and you hate what happened on October 7th doesn't mean you go kill innocent people. I have real questions about people who operate that way. Susan said for the gold. Thank you, Susan. Tiffany said, thanks for being one of the few tolerable men left. That's sad. It's not that hard to just like be relatively decent. And I think that's probably where I am. Like that's a low bar if I'm one of the few. Jen, any last words before we get out of here? You guys did wipe out the gold. Thank you, everybody, for helping with that. And thanks, Copperhead. Appreciate you for being wrong once again.
Yeah. Thanks, Copperhead, for being our undercover lib. We appreciate you.
I didn't see Heather's either. She says, sincerely, Labish, thank you. Susan said, contribution to the goal, WRTP and Jen. I think I got all those.
Ace says, dear RPT, is the Constitution good?
Is the Constitution what?
Good.
Good. Like, are we at like, are you good, Constitution? Like, we're checking in with the Constitution to see how it's hanging on?
I think Ace is a friendly. I'm laughing at the RPT.
I don't know. I don't know if it's good. Somebody check in on the Constitution, see how it's doing. It can't be feeling very good right now.
And probably it's not. No, I think that's all I got. I mean, I mentioned it before. We're streaming the Jubilee episode on. Do we know what time it goes? Do we have a time on that?
I don't remember. I don't remember what it said. Did it say in that email?
Probably. We'll put it in Discord when that's going to be. So if you guys want to stream it with us on any of the platforms, TikTok, YouTube, or Twitch, or if you're a paid subscriber, we'll be streaming that, premiering it live. If not, we'll be releasing it later on. So if you guys want to subscribe to us for that, that'd be awesome.
Do you know if we have a raid set up on Twitch?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm looking at TikTok right now.
Oh wait, Bree says raid James from the internet. Sure.
James from the internet. All right, and then on who's live on TikTok? Athena's live. Covey or Covey, however that is. Let's raid Athena on TikTok. So those are set up. If you're on Twitch, it'll automatically take you there. Other than that, we'll see you guys tomorrow. It's Friendly Friday tomorrow. Thank you guys for being here, and thanks for being here every Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 1. Anything? Was there something else you needed, Jen?
No.
Oh, okay. And we'll see you tomorrow morning, ready for Friendly Friday. All the links are in our bio for all the shit you could possibly need. I appreciate you guys' support. We'll talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves. Drink some water. Say something nice about yourself. Put your boots on the ground. And stay cute and cool. And have a great summer.